Yeah.
It's hard. It's really hard when
Round 15 TSL action coming at you live from Blundstone Arena. Clarence hosting Glenorchy, the two biggest traditional rivals in this competition, and we're all set for a cracking contest here on the Eastern Shore. My name's Chris Rowbottom, joined by Brent, Costelloe and Alex FitzGerald. Boys, this one is going to be an absolute rip-snorter.
Yeah, Will, Rowe, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, Alex. Looking forward to this one. As you said, Rowe, two traditional rivals going head-to-head, and the sting's been taken out of these games the last couple of years with Glenorchy being so dominant, but what a team Clarence has been this year. Lost one game by a point, and apart from that, they're dominating the competition. So they're really, it's going to be a cracker, Alex.
Yeah, boys, it has. Both teams are heading in with 3 straight wins. Obviously, we know Glenorchy are not the dominant force that they have been last year, but with a 144-point win last week over Glenorchy, they can't be underestimated today.
Bit of late team news as well. We're just casting our eyes over the teams as they do their warm-ups out on Blundstone Arena. We believe Jay Bowden is out injured we suspect a hamstring injury, and we've spotted young Connor Salter running around for Glenorchy in the number 29 in the warm-up. So looks like he's taken at Jay Bowden's spot, big boots to fill there. And we understand Jake Cox might be out of the Clarence lineup too, with Tyson Hanslow taking his spot for the Roos. Jason Bailey, there was a few murmurings around whether or not he'd be fit to play this week. I don't think we've spotted him yet, but a couple of big outs for both teams, boys.
Yeah, certainly, and a lot for a lot, I guess, with Bowden and Cox. But it's certainly that will be interesting this afternoon. Commentator's nightmare this afternoon as well, right? The Clarence Footy Club in maroon jumpers, obviously the Bingley Linton Cup this afternoon, so back to their heritage. But a few players we normally see in certain numbers are in different ones this afternoon, so that will be a little tricky for us here in the commentary box. But also, boys, looking forward to seeing Benny Reynolds go about it today. Also, Josh Watts, a couple of new inclusions for Glenorchy over the last month or so. Haven't seen Glenorchy live in that period, so really looking forward to having a look at those two today.
Looks like Mitch Rainbird is out there having a kick in the warm-up too for Glenorchy, so he'd be another laid in after being named as an emergency. There's some really intriguing matchups in this match too that we're really looking forward to, Alex.
Yeah, boys, I think the one that I'm most looking forward to is seeing Big Sammy Siggins go head-to-head with Cameron Duffy in the ruck. Arguably, these two guys have been the form big men at the competition, and seeing them face off is going to be probably key to a fast start for either team.
How have you assessed Sam Siggins' form this year, Brent? He's gone into the ruck this season and had a real impact in there.
I've loved every bit of it, Ro. I saw him here last week against Launceston, up against Hamish Leadham, who's also one of the best ruckmen in the competition. It was a great battle to watch unfold, but I think it's been a fantastic move to see him. He's been fantastic. It's been a great idea by Jeremy Webberley, and certainly paying dividends for Clarence.
So the siren sounding, we're just minutes away from getting this one underway at Blundstone Arena. Run us through the form lines, Alex. Clarence obviously taking all before them. Glenorchy a little bit patchy, but looking a little bit better in recent weeks after some nice additions to their team.
They have been, yeah. I think the first sort of half of the year, Glenorchy had a bit of a tough draw. I think 3 games inside 10 days, followed with a couple of the bye, then the state game, and then another bye. But it looks like they're getting a bit more settled with the likes of Tim Butterworth, Josh Watts, and just last week the addition of Big Ben Reynolds into the side.
Really liking the form of Zach Webster lately as well, who sort of took a little bit of time in the early rounds to find his feet. He had some injury troubles through the middle part of the season, but is really starting to get going at the right part of the year, and he'll be really important today. Clarence are a really quick team. Glenorchy probably aren't renowned for their pace, but they'll really need him to break the lines and get the ball in his hands to really create and provide some dash.
Yeah, look, what an inclusion he's been this season. As you said, we haven't seen the best of him yet, but been interrupted by injury and suspension. So finally, Glenorchy is starting to get the list back together, aren't they? And this is a really important period for them coming up in the next month or so. This is where they came unstuck earlier in the season, this little period where they've got Clarence and Launceston and teams like that over the next month. So season defining, it starts this afternoon in this one. They'd love to win it just to really get their season back on track.
Teams just starting to break from their huddles now and make their way to their positions. We'll get a couple of predictions, starting with you, Alex. How do you think this one's going to unfold this afternoon?
Boys, I think Glenorchy were in incredible form last week, but Clarence have proven to be a cut above this year, and with the late out of Jay Bowden, I'm probably predicting Clarence by anything under 4 goals this afternoon.
Yeah, I like the Roos as well, Ro. Obviously, you can't really back against a team, can you, that has only lost 1 game for the season, and against Glenorchy, who are yet to beat a team in the top 5, it has to be said as well. So that's a pretty damning stat, and you'd be brave if you tipped against Clarence, especially here at Blundstone Arena.
Yeah, really interesting stat that came out during the week around who Glenorchy have beaten and who they haven't, as players get acquainted in the middle of the ground, a little bit of push and shove.
We like it.
Clarence have broken their ranks, and they're just making their way to their positions now. We're just a couple of minutes away from getting underway here at Blundstone Arena.
They don't like each other, these teams, Ray.
And it goes back a long way too, all the way back to probably the 70s and 80s, where it was really heated. But we're just about to get underway. Around 15, State League action. Clarence taking on Glenorchy here with Brent Costelloe for the centre bounce.
Thanks for joining us wherever you're watching, right around the planet. It is going to be a blockbuster. Glenorchy to the right of screen. Clarence obviously to the left. Okay crowd in so far. Big day for Clarence in their maroon strip. Playing for the Bingley Linton Cup. 2 of the greats from each club. As we get set to go, umpire smashes it into the turf here at Blundstone Arena. As Duffy and Siggins go up, and it's Clarence with the first breakthrough through O'Brien. He drills it forward. Picked up on the run by Blackburn. He gets it inside 50, over the head of standard. And now it's seen over for a rush behind.
First score of the afternoon to Clarence as Glenorchy look to resume things out of the back line. The target, well, the beans were spilt by, I think, Quinn, who was all wrapped up in a tackle, and the umpire said holding the ball. So early pressure from Clarence will win a free kick inside the forward 50, and they'll line up for the first shot on goal in this game. So an interesting kick in. He hit the target. The kick wasn't the problem. It was the player on the end of it who just spilt the beans. And Buchner will line up for Clarence's first goal. He'll kick from around 40 metres out, slide angle. He's a good player, Buchner, an up-and-comer in this team as he approaches and sets sail, but it's away to the right and it won't even register a score. In fact, it stayed in, and Glenorchy will look to just move this ball out, but it'll spill over for a minor score.
Here's Zach Buchner, obviously a draft prospect. Love watching him go about it as Glenorchy bring it back into play. Good mark from Butterworth. He plays on quickly. Kick's not his best, ends up in the hands of Rainbird though, shrugs off the tackle. Drives it long over the head of Reynolds. He chases hard. Back in this team, Ben Reynolds, of course. First game last weekend. Ball out of bounds for a boundary throw-in.
So Glenorchy attempting to make their first foray forward. Reynolds there involved early. Couldn't quite win the footy in the 2-on-1. It was Keegan Wiley that saw it over. We'll have boundary throw-in right in the right half forward flank for the Pies. One down by Duffy, straight to O'Brien. He got a little handball away to Chambers. He sends the ball to half forward, and it's a 2-on-1, and Glenorchy had the numbers, and Arnold took a really nice mark. Strong mitts Arnold, who moves it inboard. Neat kick is good. Finds skipper in Webb, who spreads it wide across the ground in the Duffy direction. He'll have to get on his bike. Ball sits up for him. Sloppy old handball back now. Mott has it at half back. We know he uses the ball well, and he finds a target on this occasion. I think it's Gunther out there, who just had to wait for the ball to sit up. One out a little handball. Players converge, and the umpire will say, give it to me. That'll be held in. We'll have another boundary throw-in on the opposite side of the ground.
Mentioned Harrison Gunther there, Ro. Another great performance last week. I know there's a fair bit of interest in him at the moment from a number of AFL clubs, so can't wait to see him go about it this afternoon as the two ruckmen go at it again. Ball not going too far, very scrappy. Ends up coming out in the hands of Clarence though, and they win it out and hug that far side of the boundary. Comes inboard. Noel could take the mark. Butterworth's in there for the Magpies. Might have been taken high there. He was. So free kick going here to the Roos. They lead this one by 2 points. Early days, 2 minutes into the first quarter.
So Clarence ball at left half back. Look to just pump things up the line, and that's exactly what they do. Found a nice target in Siggins, I think it is. My eyes might be deceiving me all the way out there. Probably have to whip the binoculars out in a minute. That's a shocking kick, though, and they turn it straight back over to the Glenorchy player in Mott, who sees something he likes inboard. Webb has to get on his bike. One out, a nice little handball. Genuine chance here for the Pies through, I think it's Webb, who fires on goal and kicks the first of the game. Wonderful finish, James Webb. And the Pies have their first. They skip out to a 4-point lead.
Yeah, the Pies are moving it really quickly, boys, and that was something that stood out last week. I know they were playing Burnie, who are a bit of more of an inexperienced team, but it looks like they're backing themselves today, and that's what they're going to have to do, I think, to get the 4 points.
James Webb obviously lived in his brother's shadow for a long time, but starting to become a really good player in his own right now. Had a great game last week, Alex, didn't he?
He did a bit of a role change across half forward to finish with 4 majors, Brent.
So we're back in the middle here at beautiful Blundstone Arena. Very nice bounce from the umpire as the 2 ruckmen go at it again. It's Glenorchy winning it out of the centre again, but Grace may have been taken high. There he is. So Aidan Grace will get the free kick right in the middle here at Blundstone Arena. It's a sloppy old kick. Here is Roberts, who's back in this team, as we know, after a long layoff with injury. It's the Magpies that turn it over, though. Mott, the classy player, gets it over to Webster, takes the mark and plays on quickly. Gets it inside 50. Rainbird is there for the Magpies. Wheels around. Kick wasn't great, and Aidan Grace ends up with it for the Roos. And now over the head of Jordan Roberts, pushing towards the boundary, and it's seen over for another throw-in.
So Glenorchy going forward again here. They've got the Roos on the hop in the last couple of minutes and look to pounce as they have the run of play. As Siggins and Duffy go up to contest the ruck. Siggins just took it out and threw it on the boot. Sends a high ball to half forward. Early fly, but it was all Glenorchy back there. And it was Watts who took the mark. He'll spread things wide across the ground. It was a dangerous kick, but it was really nicely done by Smith, who went short to Quinn. Steady build up here from Glenorchy. He opts to kick long to half forward. It's a 2-on-1 again. Reynolds had to do a lot of work, and eventually he gave the free kick for a little nudge in the back.
So the free kick going to Mastrocola, who had a wonderful game last week against Launceston. Arguably Clarence's best player on the ground. Kicks it right in front of us here in the commentary box. Jones couldn't get it for Clarence. And now players diving at the footy. No one can win it out, though. And the umpire will have this one and ball it up right in front of us. Great to see Josh Watts back out there. Spoke to him a few weeks ago and loving his time back at Glenorchy.
Rucks go at it. Duffy won it down. Players track the ball, and there was a bit of WWE action as Duffy went over the top there. And it was Gleeson on the bottom of the pack who wrapped the footy in. We'll have another boundary throw up right in front of our commentary position here at Blundstone Arena. Umpire gets things moving, heels. One down, only as far as Chambers, who got a little handball up to Ling, who fed it out to O'Brien. He's running forward, kicks the ball to half forward. Watts had to go, put the head over it. Chambers emerged with a little spin move. Got the ball moving forward, looking for a target. That's a wonderful defensive mark taken back there by Smith. And Smith saves the day for the Pies. Dicey old kick to Mott, trying to create something for the Pies out of defence. Players will swoop. I think Blackburn was in there. Pies will get it out here. High ball. Gunther underneath it. He has to track it back to the boundary. Lost his footing. Couldn't take the footy. Handball will come out. And the Roos will see it over the line. So a little let off there for the Pies after the dangerous kick in defence.
No excuses this afternoon. Perfect conditions here at Blundstone Arena. Sun shining, not too much wind, and we're set for a cracking rest of the afternoon as these two fierce rivals go head to head. Ball not going too far again. And another ball up. So it's Glenorchy leading by 4 points, just the 1 goal kick so far through James Webb. Up it goes again. Mitchell's into the ruck now for the Magpies. Magpies called a throw here, I think. So the free kick will go to Clarence. They drive it straight inside 50. Good mark taken. Trent Standard. So we'll go back and have a shot, you would think. Wonderful player for a long time. Trent Standard for this footy club. Arrived in 2010 and has been in fantastic form for the Roos. He lines up. Trent Standard. Loads up just inside 50. It goes nicely through. I think it might be a goal. No. Umpire calls it behind. So unlucky there for Trent Standard.
Pies get things going. Smith, he's had an impact early, takes a nice mark. Pies still looking to clear defensive 50, and Gunther might have just taken that inside the line. Umpire said he did. It was touch and go. It's a nice take from Gunther, who just kicks up the line again in the Reynolds direction, who this time takes the mark cleanly. So they're looking to use Reynolds early in this game, and they've done so pretty well so far. Takes his first grab for the game as he just assesses things up forward, eventually gets things going with a high ball to half forward. Nice fly from behind from Webster. In fact, it was a push out. And Clarence will have the ball at right half back. So they get things going. Ling has it. Defensive 50. Now Gleeson takes a bounce and takes on his man. Back over the top to Ling. Little short ball is a neat one and a good one as they build through the middle of the ground here. Clarence are in a little bit of strife now. Here's Gleeson. Eventually just went to slam it on his boot, but it was only as far as Arnold, who smothered the kick. Back to Ling. They're still working hard. Glenorchy pressing them back. Is there an option here for the Roos as they look to just transfer play across the ground? There's a mark spilled out there, and they're going to go back the other way through Holmes. He says no. I want it out this side. They just somehow managing to stay out of trouble, but they had to turn it over eventually, and they did exactly that. It falls into the arms of Butterworth.
Great pressure there, boys, by young Harrison Pearce just to harass Holmes, and we think number 15 potentially Murphy Cohen, but we're not quite sure, and just led to the turnover there. The rush kick out, and Butterworth marks, and he should line up from about 45 on the grandstand side.
Always handy when the players aren't on the team sheet. So number 15, we're going to go with Murphy Cohen. As Butterworth approaches, he fancies himself. He kicks from right on the paint. It was a pretty good-looking kick, but it was just a little bit skinny. And it goes through for a minor score.
So the Roos to bring it back in play. Not a lot doing for them. So just the short kick in from Wiley, who's been in great form too, Keegan Wiley. Now the long kick. And straight down the throat of a Glenorchy player. So here they go again, the Magpies, just inside 50. Kick lands in front of all Clarence players though. And high tackle there. So free kick. That's Jared Harper now. He goes short. Finds Fisher. Handballs. And now the Roos are away. Not a lot on offer down forward though. And Watts couldn't take the mark. Managed to juggle the ball though. And wrapped up by Grace. Umpire said play on. They win it out though, the Magpies. Mott handballs away. Camrick. And now Geared got it forward. Ball ends up with Clarence again though. Wrapped up. Ball not going too far. Umpire lets it go, but eventually blows a whistle for holding the ball. So Clarence now have another opportunity to go inside their attacking 50. Just on the paint. Good strong mark out in front.
So Roos with a chance here. They're just outside 50, a little too far out to score. So the ball's just kicked in the Jordan Roberts direction, who had to go back, couldn't take the mark. Butterworth gathered cleanly. He's got a nice user out there in, I think it was Webster, who tried to find Rainbird. He couldn't take the mark either, but it was knocked down to Webb. We got it back to Rainbird. Now the cavalry arrives. Clarence will win the footy here through Holmes, who was taken in a big tackle at ground level, and the umpire says, give it to me, please, I'll ball it up. In fact, it might have been high
Was.
So a little bit vigorous there from Arnold, who caught Holmes high, who just gives the little hands around the back to Brady Jones. He sees something he likes out wide. It was a dicey old kick. Pies now with a chance to rebound. Webster did really well. I think that's Gunther. Just tumbled a ball forward. He'll have runners. I think that's young Banks Smith chasing it for the Pies. Keegan Wiley with a job to do. Picks up cleanly and kicks up the line in the Murphy Cohen direction. It's gathered now by Mott. Neat little ball around the corner is good, and he found Liam Smith at half forward. He wheels around and sends the Pies inside 50. Rainbird will fly at the front, couldn't take the mark. It come off Reynolds' hands. Rainbird gathered the footy. Flying shot at goal from Banks Smith. Misses.
Boys, the pressure from both sides has been immense so far. We've already seen quite a large number of tackles for free kicks, and just that pressure whenever a team moves the ball forward has been terrific by both respective defence.
Tim Castle's kick was not great and out of bounds, so little let off there for Glenorchy. They've got another chance here to win the footy back after a debacle, really. So the two rucks prepare to go at it. Glenorchy leading this one by 5 points. 14 minutes gone, first term. In it comes. It was Hills who won it down. And now Glenorchy are away again. It's the skipper, Braden Webb. The kick isn't great and tumbles out for a boundary throw. Is it out in the full, they're saying? Might have stayed in, but no, it's gone out. Cries for out in the full there, I think, Ray.
One of the great sights in TSL footy too, when Braden Webb comes bursting through like a bull and gathers the footy cleanly, although the kick left a little bit to be desired there. Not a bad result for the Pies, though. They get a throw in inside 50. Reynolds was there. It was tapped down to a Clarence player. Reynolds gathered him. Rainbird emerged with the footy, and the umpire called advantage. And Rainbird slams it through for the Pies' second goal.
These are handy in, boys, for Glenorchy, especially with Bowden out. You need a bit of hardness in the midfield, and Mitch Rainbird's certainly someone who'll provide that.
Well, Glenorchy with the first 2 goals of the game. 2-2-14 to 3 behinds Clarence. We're 15 minutes gone in this opening term. Around the grounds in the AFL, Geelong leading by a point over Hawthorn, and Port Adelaide kicked the first against North Melbourne at the Adelaide Oval. Get some TSL scores for you too as the afternoon goes on. Some big games around the state as the ball goes bang again. Duffy couldn't win it. And now here's Webb again. Classy Braden Webb gets the kick away. Not a lot on offer for him. Ends up with the ruse. O'Brien gets the kick away. And now the Roos are away. Oh, that's the umpires paid the mark there, which is a good result for Clarence. I'd love a goal here. So Palmer Hughes, who's been in great form for Clarence all season, one of the rising stars of the club, drills it inside 50. Blackburn was there, couldn't take the mark. Watts lurking too. No, Josh Watts is a forward, but playing defence now for Glenorchy last week or two.
He was fantastic last week, boys, at centre-half back. A lot of intercept marks, and Aaron Cornelius was also really pleased with his second and third efforts at ground level. So providing Glenorchy with a bit of depth, because they do have a handy amount of forwards at the moment.
Chance here for the Roos, thrown in right forward pocket. Duffy won the hit out. It comes away through geared, kick to the wing. Glenorchy player got front spot, couldn't do much with it though as Gleeson came bustling through. I think that was Smith emerging with the footy, who dished off a releasing handball to Mott. They're away here. If Webster can gather cleanly, he couldn't. Banks Smith will track the footy back. He's been handy early, young Banks Smith. Goes back to a user in Watson. He sees Webster at half forward, just worked his man in Ling underneath it, went back and got the footy. He's mobbed by a trio of Roos though. And he was ambitious trying to take them all on because he was pinged holding the ball, Zach Webster. We know he's quick, but he's not that quick. And Clarence will win the free kick deep in defence. You don't want it in Zach Webster's hands, so they did well to strip him of the footy as the kick comes in the Grace direction. It'll come off hands though and spill out of bounds left half forward for the Roos.
So interesting start to this one. As we approach time on in the first term. Waiting for the ball to come back in play as it does. Duffy, Siggins. Siggins won that time. Roos control the footy. Hugging the boundary though, right in front of the hill on the far side of Blundstone Arena. Another boundary throw in. Funny old day here. The sun's in and out. A little on the cool side. But as we said earlier, perfect conditions for a game of footy between two arch rivals. Here's Webb again, who's been really busy in the last 5 or so minutes inside Glenorchy's attacking 50. Here's Webb again, who kicked the first goal of the match. He loads up right on 50. Is it going to have enough on it? It is. What a result for the Glenorchy Footy Club. James Webb kicks his second. And the Pies are out to a big lead early, 17 points, 17 minutes gone first quarter.
Wonderful kick, James Webb. Gathered the footy cleanly, spun around onto, I think, it was his left boot and just dabbed it from around 50 metres. That's a really classy finish.
Effortless, wasn't it?
From James Webb. And he's emerging as a really handy forward for the Pies and already having a really nice impact on this contest. He's kicked their first 2 goals and he's kicked the only 2 goals of the game. So Clarence, we need to probably start thinking about putting a little bit of work into him as the ball comes down. Glenorchy will try and win it forward, only as far as Harper though. Banksmith, who's been handy early, one out of handball. Rainbird jumps on it. He's mobbed by a number of Clarence players and the pack converges. The ball is locked in. The umpire says, I'll throw it up.
17 points the margin. Big punch down from Duffy. And now steaming through is Camrick. He kicks it forward and can't quite take the mark, Ben Reynolds, and it's seen over another boundary throw-in. So, been busy early, Reynolds. Alex?
He has, yeah. A couple of comments in the media about him being a bit sluggish in his first game. Obviously attracted a lot of attention, but I thought his work rate and leadership in the forward half allowed players like Gunther to sort of really dominate last week. So I'm sure he's going to come on and be a big danger this game.
Here's the other Webb, the Braden variety. Couldn't sneak it home for a goal minus score.
So flying shot from Braden Webb. Pies have had all the scoring in this first term. They're 3-3-21. Clarence just the 3 behinds. Keegan Wiley goes to himself and looks to resume things on the outer side and almost picked out the one Clarence player out there, although Grace will win it and tap it forward. They're away here through Jones. Little dabbing ball is nice there through Blackburn. Here's O'Brien, who sends the Roos inside 50. He's got Standen tracking back, but he's got plenty of support in Quinn. And it'll go out of bounds again for Clarence on the outer side.
Boys, we've just got a score update in one of the other TSL games. Lauderdale 2-2-14 lead the Tigers no score just into time on, and Thor Boscott has the first 2 goals for the Bombers.
So plenty happening around the state in the TSL this afternoon as Clarence looked to kick their first goal of the afternoon. Flying shot came from Blackburn, but it bounces through for a minus score. They're yet to kick a goal. Just the 4 behind so far for the Roos.
Yeah, really nice start from Glenorchy. 19 points is the margin as we tick over time on in this first term. Here they go again, the Roos inside 50, but it's all Glenorchy at the moment. Butterworth goes short and he finds Quinn, who plays on really quickly to the wing. Watts is there. Sorry, it's a Gunther in fact, but it's Clarence that have the footy through Castle. And now Glenorchy away again. Here he is, Harry Pearce. Tucks the footy under the arm. Didn't have many places to go, though. He kicks it inside 50. Reynolds is there. Has he got enough pace to get the footy? It's bounced through. That is extraordinary. What an extraordinary goal for Glenorchy. Harry Pearce. That is a fascinating effort.
What are you seeing here, Alex? Glenorchy seem to be playing a really open forward line. They've had a couple just bounce through over the top. The Webb goal and now the Harry Pearce goal. And no one from Clarence able to get back and prevent the ball bouncing through.
Yeah, that's right, Chris. They're sort of playing a lot of numbers behind the ball, Glenorchy, and leaving that forward line nice and open. And then when the ball comes in there, Clarence have been caught with a few, I think 2 or 3 goals now across the back. So
things starting to get a little bit out of hand for Clarence here in this first term. We're deep into it. Glenorchy 4-3-27 have certainly got the jump. Clarence, no goals, 4 behinds. As we'll see another bounce in the middle of Blundstone Arena. Umpire wasn't happy with his first crack, so he'll have another one. Throws it up. It's Duffy, who convincingly won the hit out to Mott on the wing, who gave it off to Geard, who will send it to half forward again for the Pies, was looking for Banks Smith. That's a nice mark taken in defence for the Roos, who look to just concede a little bit of ground as they try and work something here and get their first goal. So they're pressed right back to the goal line here, the Roos, and that's a dangerous old kick as the fist came from the Pies, and the Clarence player is wrapped up. I think it was Timmy Castle. The umpire just deliberating here if it's out of bounds or if it's a throw-up. I think it'll be a ball up. So
we've got Bev on the boundary this afternoon.
Star of the Bev show, Bev, as Duffy wins it down to Geard. He got it back to Pearce. Camerick will feed a little handball inside, and Banks Smith has all the time in the world to kick Glenorchy's fifth. A wonderful little finish, and the Pies are running riot here at Blundstone Arena.
If you don't mind, boys, they really are just backing themselves, Glenorchy, and it's sort of starting all the way from their back half. They're taking the intercept marks and then really rolling the dice by banging the ball through the middle, taking the game on, and it's paying dividends so far as they've kicked the first 5 goals of the game.
Yeah, it's certainly all one-way traffic in this first term. 8 scoring shots to 4, and a big lead for the Magpies approaching quarter time, 29 points. So we're about ready to get underway again. Geelong out to a 7-point lead against Hawthorn at the MCG. Port Adelaide 24 plays North Melbourne 6. Duffy wins the ruck down for the Magpies. Ends up with the Roos. Jones is in there. Again, it's Glenorchy with the footy. Challenge though. No one can win the ball cleanly. Ends up with Jordan Arnold. And now tackle was evaded, but still not going too far. The footy in the back, maybe, from Arnold. No, umpire lets it go. And another ball up right in front of us here on the commentary side of the ground.
Clarence really struggling to win any clean or meaningful possession here. The Pies' pressure has been absolutely outstanding, and it's resulted in a 5-0 start as Siggins wins it down as far as, I think it was Callanan who moved it forward, but Arnold will get back for the Pies, and they'll work it out of defence here through Watts, who kicked to half forward. It's to no one in particular. No talk from the Clarence players. Gleeson spoiled Jones, and Glenorchy will emerge with it through Webb, but he might have been taken holding the ball, and he was. He had plenty of time to get rid of it. Braden Webb, the skipper, but was taken in a firm Clarence tackle. And Ian Callanan will emerge with the footy. The superstar will send Clarence forward, and that might have been one in the back. In fact, it was. Both players sort of just fell over, but Arnold fell into the back of his opponent in Trent Standen. And Trent Standen, this is a big kick for the Roos, right in the shadows of quarter time. And it's fair to say they need a goal. So Standen, you wouldn't think he'll look to pass this one off. In fact, he's lining up as if he will put this one straight through the middle of the big sticks. So in he comes, pulls the trigger, and he's missed. So near side for Trent Standen, who's had 2 shots on goal and missed them both. Both relatively tough pings, but not what the Clarence faithful will be after.
Certainly not on this big day for the footy club back in their maroon strip. Big, strong mark out in front by Siggins. Love watching him go about it. Former Adelaide listed player, and there it is, quarter time, and Siggins is going to have a shot. And he's gone for the big barrel, but has not gone anywhere near it, unfortunately. But that wraps up a big, big, big first quarter for Glenorchy. 5-3-33, the Magpies lead it over Clarence. 5 behinds. Boys, what do we reckon about that opening term from the Glenorchy Footy Club?
Well, a genuine bit of shock and awe, I think. And no Jason Bailey today for Clarence. And you can certainly tell there's a big hole in the Clarence defence at the moment. And just that last goal from young Banks Smith, he had so much space. He was only 20 metres out from goal, and he was all alone. The handball was able to make its way to him, and it was the easiest of finishes. They had a couple of really nice, skillful goals as well that are hard to stop through Webb, and the other one, I think, I can't remember who the other one was through now.
Rainbird,
It might have been Rainbird or Harrison Pearce, maybe. So, yeah, it's an interesting start to this game. Clarence would not have been expecting a start like that. They just can't seem to win any meaningful sort of possession. And when they do get it forward, they're trapped sort of deep, in the pockets or hugged up on the boundary. They can't get any shots off towards goal that have any real chance of going through.
Have you seen it, Alex?
Yeah, boys, I've just seen sort of Clarence, when they do get the ball, especially across half-back, they're really struggling to find runners and people presenting, as opposed to when Glenorchy get the ball, their blokes queuing up to get that ball out of defence. So they're really sort of gelling well as a team. They're moving the ball well, taking the game on, and it's definitely paying dividends so far.
Just repeating that quarter-time score, Glenorchy 5-3-33, Clarence 5 behinds. We'll take a short break and be back with the second term very soon.
So we're back, all set to go for the second term here at Blundstone Arena. Fast start from Glenorchy, 5-3-33 they are. Clarence yet to kick a goal, just the 5 behind. James Webb has 2, Harrison Pearce has 1, Banks Smith has 1, and Mitch Rainbird has the other goal for the Pies. And they'll look to arrest this fast start, the Roos, as the umpire just shields his eyes from the sun and makes sure all spectators have cleared the arena. I think there's a couple of stragglers, the young fellas just waiting to clear.
Can't get over the fence,
The fence is a little bit too high on these AFL standard grounds. You can't just hop the fence like you can at some of the regional venues. I think the Clarence trainer is going to assist a couple of the young kids off the field as we await the centre bounce here to get the second term underway. I think we're all set now. The umpire just goes through the final checks, raises the footy, blows the whistle, siren sounds. You're with Brent Costelloe.
We know Glenorchy have the traditional scoring end of that opening term. Let's see if Clarence can make up a few goals here in this second quarter. Ball hasn't gone too far before we have another ball up, you would think, and there's the umpire blowing his whistle. So a very fast start from the Magpies in that opening term. And exactly what they would have wanted too, Glenorchy, for their confidence. Ball down again. It's Quinn. Races out of the middle. Gets it forward, and a good strong mark taken out in front. They play on quickly, the Magpies inside 50. Anybody home? No one could take the mark. Ends up with the Roos. They bring it now out of defence, and they're away here. Mark's taken. And gobbled up by Hanslow. Here he goes to the wing. And Buchner takes the mark.
So Buchner at right half back for the Roos. Little short ball is nice and finds Gabby Chambers. He goes short again. Back to Buchner, who gets things moving. Kicks to half forward, looking for Blackburn. Watts came across, couldn't take the mark. It was gathered beautifully by Ian Callanan as he finds a target inside 50, and that's a wonderful little ball to Hanslow.
What a star in Callanan. He's played really well last week against Launceston. Looks a little different at the number 11 this afternoon.
So Hanslow plays on immediately, sends a long ball towards goal, and that's got the journey. Clarence have their first wonderful finish, Tyler Hanslow, and it all came from that really nice bit of work from Ian Callanan, who was just doing what Ian Callanan tends to do and hit targets inside 50.
Just the class of Callanan to find that space in traffic, boys, and hit up young Hanslow, who again backed himself with no Clarence players on the line to shepherd that through, backed himself from 45, and Clarence have their first on the board.
So just the start the Roos wanted in this second term. They get that lead back now down to 22 points. So we're ready to go again back in the middle here at beautiful Blundstone Arena. Duffy had that all to himself. Siggins, though, ends up with the footy. Turns around, kicks the ball forward. Mott's there, though, for Glenorchy. He gathers. Almost taken high. Play on, said the umpire. And now Butterworth, who's back in this team as well after leaving after that flag win last year. Pushes it forward. Rainbird lurking. And the mark couldn't be taken by Clarence, so spills to the ground. No one can get it out. Umpire said play on again. And eventually blows his whistle for another ball up.
How about that kick from Reece Mott across the ground on that left boot just to find Butterworth? It looks reasonably innocuous, but that is just such a precision kick to hit a target as he did just then. As the Rucks go at it, Siggins wins it down. Moved forward by Palmer Hughes for Clarence. Arnold will track it back and it will spill out of bounds. Buchner was there too, as was Connor Salter for the Pies. So I haven't called his name so far today. He's matched up on Buchner, who's one of the rising stars of this TSL competition. Rucks go at it again. Duffy won it down. Byers will get the clearance through Butterworth, but it'll come back to Hanslow, who's just nudged off the ball. Duffy went and got it. Got the handball up. Palmer Hughes to Callanan. He tried to get it forward. It's a hot footy in there. It's unable to be cleared by either team, and there might have been a couple of Falcons amongst that passage of play too, as it's all locked in, and the umpire says, I'll throw it up again, and wouldn't be surprised if we saw a free kick plucked out of here as the players try and edge things forward. Duffy was edged underneath it, but won the tap out. Hanslow will go and get it, as will O'Brien, who just ducks the head in, and now the ball will go out of bounds. So another stoppage here. It's a bit of push and shove in shoes on the boundary.
Just 3 or 4 little 1%ers there from Jackson O'Brien, and Clarence will be really looking for his leadership as they try to peg back this 4-goal lead, boys.
Not too much niggle in this game so far between these two arch rivals. As we said, the sting gone out of the rivalry a little bit over the last couple of years with Glenorchy so dominant. There was a couple of 100-point hidings, I think, between these two clubs in recent times. So good to see them back on a sort of even playing field. Makes it a lot more exciting for the fans and the supporters coming along. Fire blows a whistle again. So slow sort of quarter so far. Not going too far, the ball. Here's Hanslow again. Gets the kick away. Pushes it forward towards Clarence's goals once more, but only as far as the boundary, and another boundary throw.
It's another stoppage here. Arm wrestle to begin this second term. Clarence kicked the first goal through Hanslow after a very sharp bit of Ian Callanan work. It was a nice finish too from range. As the ball comes tumbling in from the boundary umpire. Siggins tried to win it down. Harper was in there, claimed in a big tackle by, I think, Liam Smith. Again, we'll have another stoppage. So
Commentator's nightmare, right?
it's just really tense stuff here. It's we look for the breakaway, and it might come here through Hanslow, who just went back into traffic, geared now. Can he produce something? Pies will come away with it finally through Butterworth. Handball off to Webb, who dodged around one, found a bit of time and space, and found a nice little ball inboard to Banks Smith, gave it back to his skipper and Webb. That's a pretty nice ball across the ground in the Mott direction. Had to wait for it to sit up, but Gleeson did really well off half back. Gathered a loose footy and will send the Clarence boys forward. Callanan finds it on the bounce, fires towards goal.
Oh.
That was almost an Ian Callanan special.
Goodness me.
Wouldn't quite turn it round the corner.
That would have been something.
And boys, how's that pick up from Jack Gleeson? It's his first senior game of the year, as we're well aware, but pretty handy inclusion last year's best and fairest winner.
Almost had as many scoring shots, the Roos. They're 1-6 to Glenorchy 5-3, but the margin 33-12. So need to make it count on the scoreboard, the Roos. Another ball up, 6 minutes into this second term. Hawks have hit the front at the MCG, 39 plays 35, and Port Adelaide all over North Melbourne at the Adelaide Oval. Get some scores from Alex soon from other TSL games this afternoon. It's Clarence again, Roberts. He's got one of the best haircuts in the competition. He delivers it forward. Brady Jones can't take the mark. Play on, but may have been taken high, he was, so Jones will get the free kick.
Yeah, you can't miss Jordan Roberts out there on that outer side. It wouldn't be bad if a few more Clarence boys had the same haircut, so they were easily identifiable. That's not a great kick inside 50. It's gobbled up by Brady Quinn in defence for the Pies, who moves things on immediately by hand. Rainbird has it now at centre half back. He spreads things wide to Webster, who's hugging the boundary. He'll go up the boundary line looking for Harry Pearce, who took a really nice mark in front of his eyes. Strong hands, Harry Pearce, who's had AFL interest over the journey, and his AFL dream might not be over yet. Still a very good young footballer. He just sends a high ball to half forward. It'll come off hands and go out of bounds though. The Butterworth fist saw it over.
Boys have just got a score from the Lauderdale Tigers game. Lauderdale lead 5-4-34 to the Tigers 3-4-22, and Thor Boscott has 3 goals now.
Well, there you go. Thor Boscott dominant again for Lauderdale. Going beautifully, the Bombers, as Roberts goes back and takes the mark. So away they go again, Clarence. They switch play to the opposite side of the ground, but it's a dangerous kick, and Gunther takes a good mark and will go back and have a shot from a pretty tough angle. As we mentioned earlier, one of the rising stars of this competition, and we know there's a lot of interest in the AFL for this young man come later this year, whether it be a senior list spot or in the rookie draft. Harrison Gunther in the number 11. Tight pocket. Loads up on the right. It looks like it's across the face of goal, and it may have gone through for a minor score. It has. So Glenorchy moved to 5-4-34. Clarence 1-6-12.
So Roos bring things in. It's a nice kick to Gleeson, who takes the mark. They haven't cleared defensive 50 quite yet, but they should do so through this possession. There's a bit of push and shove on the mark, and Gunther gives away a silly 50-metre penalty. Just went that little bit too far, Gunther.
It's disappointing because he's really been working hard, and all that good work sort of undone there as Gleeson would be looking to send this one inside attacking 50.
So Gleeson's in the middle of Blundstone Arena, sends the ball to half forward in the Callanan direction, who took a diving Superman-style mark on the chest, wheels around onto his left boot, pops it up to the top of the square. Siggins will fly and almost take a fantastic mark, couldn't quite hold on. And it'll be locked in 20 metres out from the Clarence goal.
What a treat that we get to watch Ian Callanan week in, week out in this competition as he runs to the boundary. But, wow, he's just a genius.
He's one of the greats of Tasmanian football, full stop, Ian Callanan. And he's still got plenty of footy left in him as Gleeson tracked it back. It went into the hands of Mott, who won a handball out. Glenorchy working hard to clear defensive 50 here. It'll come out back through Mott, who gave it off to a teammate in Dilger, who sent the ball towards the wing. No mark able to be taken out there by big Benny Reynolds. And it'll go out of bounds. So boundary throw in on true centre wing, right in front of the hill where there's a few patrons.
Not a bad crowd in, lads. Scattered across this big venue. If you had it at a smaller one, it'd probably look quite full. But we are here at Blundstone Arena, and of course an AFL game here in a couple of weeks' time on a Saturday. Melbourne coming to town to take on North Melbourne as play goes on here. Ball can't get out cleanly. It is Webster juggling it, but no one can get the clean break at all. Glenorchy eventually do. Here's Mott on that trusty left foot again. He switches play. Pearce takes a good mark and bumped by Grace, but no 50-metre penalty. So Pearce looking for an option. He goes right in front of us here, looking for Gunther. It bounces straight past him, though, and out of bounds for another boundary throw-in.
So Kieran Howlett is the other in for Clarence today, the replacement for Jason Bailey. You haven't called his name as yet. Quiet start for him.
Young Harry Pearce just really starting to have an influence this quarter, boys.
Good player, Pearce. As the play resumes, Siggins won it down. Geards in there on hands and knees. It was paddled back to Duffy, who just sent a ball up and down the mine shaft, and Grace will go back and take a nice mark. So Aiden Grace has had a really good year. That's not his finest, though, as he picks out the biggest man on the ground in Cam Duffy at right half back for the Pies. He's a mercurial type, Aiden Grace, who can really make things happen, but sometimes he does that sort of thing as the pack flies and Smith moves the Pies forward, and that's a fortuitous kick because it fell right into the lap of Braden Webb, who sees something he likes over the top in Webster, who goes back and took a fantastic mark going back with the fly. It had plenty of company too, but he held on and will have a set shot for goal about 30 metres out. Slight angle, but for a player of Zach Webster's quality, you'd expect him to go back and drill this.
Braden Webb, boys, all class with his possession so far today, apart from that one behind, just hitting targets left, right and centre.
So Webster, in he comes, pulls the trigger, and it just faded late and cannoned into the post.
Looked good, didn't it?
It looked good off the boot and just did a bit, just deviated late. Not unlike my golf swing, boys. It's what my golf ball does when I hit it. Goes right late. So out they come again. Siggins will fly and take a strong mark, just lifts the leg and gathers himself some protection, gets things going immediately. Sees a man in Blackburn, had to contend with two Pies, one of which was Butterworth. Ball will spill out of bounds directly in front of the interchange benches. And
us here too, upstairs in the comm box. A wonderful vantage point we've got here at Blundstone Arena. Obviously an AFL standard venue, which is lovely to commentate from. O'Brien's there for Clarence, gets the quick handball out. Gabby Chambers dragged across the line and throw in. So a little bit of niggle here now. So Gabby Chambers there. We know he's a fantastic player for Clarence. Does a number of lockdown jobs on some of the competition's best players. He's lining up against Braden Webb this afternoon. As it comes back in, Siggins and Duffy go at it. Ball flies in the air. It's with the Roos. They're wrapped up though. And another ball up, boys. The story of the day.
So out on this wing, it's just been locked in all day. And the umpiring has been pretty good. There's been no sort of token free kicks plucked out to get things moving, as Clarence do exactly that with a high ball to half forward. 2 pies will fly. One of them was Arnold, who couldn't take the mark. Ball was gathered on the bounce by Glenorchy player. I didn't get a good look at who that was because he was surrounded by Clarence types. There'll be another ball up. Siggins rucks again, as he's done all day. Wins the tap down. Standon's there trying to work it forward. He's got Arnold for company though, who rides him into the ground. It's all locked up. And you mentioned before, no real niggle. It's a little bit on the boundary before with John Geard getting involved, but nothing too serious. The ball tracks again back towards the boundary. Butterworth is held up by Harper.
Certainly not the most entertaining spectacle so far, boys. There's been patches, but very stop-start.
So let's see if we can get something happening out of this stoppage. It's a low throw-in as Siggins won it down. And Clarence will move the footy forward through Harper. There's players running back towards goal. Dangerous times here for Glenorchy, who need to clear it. There was a little foot from the Clarence player in Murphy Cohen. It went over for a minor score. Watts to take the kick in.
Former Brisbane Lions listed player Josh Watts, of course. Never got his chance at AFL level, unfortunately. Had a pre-season with Coburg in the VFL. Now back here with Glenorchy. In it comes, and it's gone straight down the throat of Tim Castle, who's in the number 20 today. He goes for the short option and finds Blackburn, hits him on the chest. And Clarence now get the chance to go back and try and reduce this margin to 16 points.
Beautiful low stabbing pass there from Tim Castle.
So Michael Blackburn been in fantastic form for Clarence in recent times. Would love to get his afternoon going here with a goal. 1-7 the Roos this afternoon. 1-7-13 to Glenorchy 5-5-35. So inaccurate kicking, not so much. There's been a few rush behinds in all of that. But here's Michael Blackburn lining up. The angle isn't too tough. The kick looks okay. It's hit the post. So another let off there for Glenorchy as Clarence add another behind to their tally, which is now on 8.
The Ben Brown style run up there with just lifted the ball and tried to align himself. So free kick plucked out here. I think the Glenorchy player has stepped over the mark on the kick out and will have a ball up right at the teeth of goal for Clarence. So golden opportunity to try and snag something here out of the stoppage for the Roos. Pies will just want to knock it through and kill it. Although it's knocked back into play. It's tracked back there by Clarence player in Bushner, who kept it in. And now we'll have a boundary throw in the right forward pocket for Clarence, who are pressing here. They've only kicked the 1 goal for the game. 1 goal, 8-14. Glenorchy 5-5-35. Yeah, 21 points to the good. So ball spills down. Clearing ball now for the Pies. Gleeson had to go back, but it fell into the arms of Holmes, who just sent a scrappy old ball forward, but it's effective because it's taken by Chambers, who probably fancy himself from this range. Good player, Gabby Chambers. As you mentioned, Brett, he's played some very important lockdown roles in season 2017, but he's a pretty decent midfielder in his own right. He fancies himself from this range. So Chambers sets sail from 45. It's working back, and that's a wonderful finish. And that might just be the fire starter that Clarence need.
Just strolled in there, Chambers. Didn't really take too much time in his run-up, but he's been pretty good today, boys, especially in that first quarter where Clarence needed someone to step up. A lot of pressure from Gabby Chambers, and you mentioned a great run with player, but also can be quite damaging when moving forward.
So a much-needed goal for the Roos. And they're back here in this contest. There's no doubt about that. They've certainly lifted in this second quarter. The margin now just 15 points. 5-5 plays 2-8. So we're back in the middle. Bang it goes. Beautiful bounce from the umpire as Hills wins that ruck contest. And now the Magpies are away. Mott does well, gets his footy. Jordan Arnold drives it inside 50. Webster couldn't take the mark. Ball held up. And eventually out. Here is Mott again. Gets the quick handball away to Webb. Webb looks at goal. It's across the face, minus score. So James Webb kicked 2 in the first. Now has a behind in the second. And the lead now 16 points.
Causing headaches, James Webb, and that was really nice work from Reece Mott. Contested handball.
Really quick, wasn't it?
Yeah, he released Webb on the way past, who had a flying shot on goal and was unlucky maybe not to kick it. That's a wonderful mark going back. Courage shown. Body on the line sort of stuff as the Pies go back inside 50, and that'll just fall into the arms of big Benny Reynolds, who came steaming out of the goal square. Played in front of his opponent and will have a shot on goal from 15 metres out. Bit of angle to speak of, so don't quite put it in the book just yet. They're tougher than they look, these ones. Ben Reynolds, star in last year's premiership, back in this team, and he comes, sends it on its way, and as we say, he misses, so golden opportunity there to just put the foot on the throat of the Roos, and it's missed.
So the Roos, here they come again. As we said, they've lifted this quarter, there's no doubt about that. Zach Mastrocola takes the mark and drives it long up the boundary line. Bushner, great mark. Star young player, as we mentioned earlier. Big boy. Very well-built young man. He goes long, and it looks like it's all the Magpies, and the mark taken there by Salter. So Connor Salter, play a bit of senior footy this year, drives it long, just outside 50. No one could take the mark, it's punched away, and now the Magpies have, I think it was Matthew Joseph, who was collected at the same time. Still with Clarence now though, here's Callanan, who's been pretty busy. He drives it long, but it's all Glenorchy back there, and Watts takes the easiest of marks running back with the flight, plays on quickly. Switches play to Jordan Arnold, who kicks it further afield. Quinn couldn't take the mark. Turned over now by the Roos, but it's close to the boundary line. Kept in play, though, very nicely by Glenorchy. And eventually, though, a little further down the line, I was still alive. So that side of the ground causing us a few issues here in the commentary box as Rainbird kicks it in, and it lands in the hands of Benny Reynolds, who will go back and kick on goal for the second time in as many minutes.
So Matty Joseph just come to the boundary, to the bench there, boys, after copping one in the mush or one to the side of the head, it looked like. So it was a little bit worse for wear.
He'd only just come on as well, boys. You haven't called his name so far today, but beautiful coast-to-coast movement from the Pies, and it sets up this shot on goal.
So Ben Reynolds lines up, back in the team last week. This one looks a little bit better, and Ben Reynolds kicks his first goal of the afternoon, and Glenorchy move out to a 23-point lead.
They're getting around him, boys. Great to have him back playing TSL. It was obviously a big part of their premiership last year, and they'll be glad to have him back at this business time of the year.
Very unlucky not to win that Best on Ground medal last year, Chris Rowbottom. He voted in that award.
I think he
Where did your 3 go?
I think he might have got my 3 actually. Ben Reynolds in the grand final last year. He was absolutely superb. He was you couldn't get past him at centre half back last year. Clinton French was equally deserving though after his efforts up forward for the Pies as the ball goes back up in the middle of the ground. Clarence will try and get it out through Hanslow, but Hills took the footy and he might have been taken high. In fact, it was holding the ball. No, he was taken high. So Hills plays on by hand to Banks Smith, who sends the Pies forward again. There's that man Reynolds who couldn't take the mark. Webster, one up a handball to Rainbird, who shrugged the tackle, got a handball back to Webb. He got one back to Mott. He'll do something with his left boot. It went to the teeth of goal, but it was taken by Mastrocola, who gets things going for the Roos and sends them beyond defensive 50 and finds a target out there. They get things moving towards half forward. It's a one-on-one. That's a nice mark taken. think it was Harper, took the mark in front of Arnold. Little kick inboard is nice. Sits on the head of Buchner, who was good enough to take the footy in outstretched arms. He's got a couple of options here, Buchner. Can either square it up or go short inside 50. He went the ladder, and it was good enough because he found Grace, who we haven't called much this afternoon. He hasn't had a huge impact on this game, Aiden Grace. He's a good young player.
We might get a look at the Josh Kennedy-inspired run-up here, boys.
This is prime position for the twinkle toes style run-up for Aiden Grace. He fancies himself from here. He's a pretty nice kick of the footy usually. Reminds me a bit of Matty Suckling. When he gets that connection, and here it is. The little sidestepper straightens up, sends the footy on its way. It looked pretty good off the boot, but it missed. Distance wasn't a problem for Aiden Grace, who, as we say, has had a pretty good year for the Roos. One of those mid-tier players that have really emerged in season 2017.
23 points is the buffer here in favour of Glenorchy. 25 minutes gone this second term, so in the shadows of half-time in this blockbuster Saturday afternoon TSL clash. The umpire's blown the whistle here. Free kick going the way of Glenorchy. So I'd love another goal here before half-time. The Magpies, just to really put the sting into Clarence. Goes up towards the boundary again. Good mark taken. Michael Fisher, I think it is, on that far boundary. So Michael Fisher looking for an option. Can't find one short, so opts for the longer route. And does well. Good mark taken. They played on quickly here, the Roos, though. Across the ground. Brady Jones is there, as is Jordan Roberts. As is Tim Castle. Gets the handball off to Roberts. It goes over his head, though. Didn't judge that too well. Roberts is back in there, though. And umpire's blown the whistle for high. And Clarence will get the free kick here. So they'd love another goal too before half-time. That goes without saying. And Jordan Roberts now with the football. Looks like he's going back to have a ping at this. Has he got the distance, Alex?
I'm not sure. Brent, how does Eminem kick the football generally?
Very good, very good. So Roberts spinning the ball around. He's going to load up on the right. Tell you what, it looks okay. Has it got enough on it? I think it does. Jordan Roberts kicks a goal for Clarence, a much needed one on the eve of half-time. And the Roos are back to within 16 points.
Might have to take that friendly jibe back. That was a beautiful kick there from Roberts, and that's the spark that Clarence need. They're not far out of this game. They just need to, maybe if they can kick one more goal and head in just under 2 goals behind, that'll really set them up for the second half.
That was a wonderful finish from Jordan Roberts, and he backed himself too. He knew he had the leg, and he's kicked that from almost the centre square. It's travelled, by the time it got over the goal line, it's probably travelled a good 60. So a wonderful finish from Jordan Roberts, one of the Clarence players who are playing some good footy this year. It goes back up in the middle. Clarence with another chance to go forward again. Handball one out. Here they go, the Roos. Kick to half forward to nobody in particular to be met on the bounce as it's tracked back there. Able to gather cleanly. Callanan was ripped off it. Now Watts has it and the bell will go. So right on the siren, Clarence fighting back that turn, but it's still Glenorchy with the lead. They're 6-7-43. They lead the Roos 3-9-27 here at Blundstone Arena. Goal kickers for both teams. James Webb has 2 for the Pies. Harrison Pearce has 1. Singles also to Ryan Banks-Smith and Mitch Rainbird. And we saw all 3 of Clarence's goals come in that second term. Gabby Chambers has 1. Tyson Hanslow kicked there first, and Jordan Roberts with that long bomb just minutes ago. So we've got a contest here at Blundstone Arena. Boys, how have you seen the first half?
Oh, well, entertaining at times, but as we said, very stop-start. But Clarence will be pretty happy to be back within 16 points. It got away from a little bit in that quarter, but they certainly looked a different team, though. They came out and kicked that first goal, and it was a great start for them, as we said. So we are set up for a massive second half coming up. There's no doubt about that, Alex.
Yeah, boys, I think that the difference in that that term was just Clarence's willingness to take the ball on and not be so stop and prop across half back. And obviously Zach Buchner had a huge effect across half forward. I think he took 5 or 6 grabs. And Ian Callanan's just awareness and ability to hit a pinpoint targets inside 50 also have just set up a fair few shots on goal.
So the players make their way down to the rooms. They'll go through the first half and dissect what went wrong and what went right over the next 20 minutes or so. And that's when we'll be back on the stream. It's Glenorchy 6-7, 43, 3-9, 27, half-time. Around 15 TSL action from Blundstone Arena. So we're back for the second half here at Blundstone Arena. Clarence hosting Glenorchy, but it's Glenorchy who will take an advantage into this second half. They're 6-7-43, Clarence 3-9-27. They got the fast start, and I think it was the first 5 goals of the game. Clarence hit back though in the second term and kicked 3 of their own, as well as 9 behinds, just to keep in touch. Really interesting second half looming here. Round 15 of the TSL. We're just about to get things underway here for the second half. Brent Costelloe has the opening bounce of the third quarter.
Set for a cracking second half. Umpire throwing the ball up here as Duffy and Siggins go head to head, as they have for the majority of the game. Rainbird with a big kick out of the middle. Sun blazing down on Blundstone Arena to start this third quarter. Umpire will ball this one up. So funny old day here. Sun in and out, cold, and not much breeze though. So as we said earlier, great conditions for footy. As the umpire tosses it back up again, Siggins wins it down. And that was Mastrocola. And Chambers went for the footy, lost it. Dilgar just flirts with the boundary, keeps it in, but punched away at the 11th hour, and another boundary throw in.
So Pies make the first foray forward. Safe to say the Boone end is the scoring end so far this afternoon.
Has been for much of the year too, right?
A lot of action happening at that end of the ground. So Glenorchy will have their chance to utilise that this term as Siggins and Hills fight it out in the ruck. It came down to Palmer Hughes, who was claimed, and umpire said that's holding the ball, and Glenorchy will have the chance to draw first blood here in the third term.
Will be a big goal, wouldn't it? Obviously the margin 16 points at this stage, so a big kick coming up here for Glenorchy through Camrick. He's been a great player too, right, in recent times, Camrick.
He's a famous Glenorchy name, Camrick. You see stretching back. Played in the famous 99 Premiership, I believe. So Camrick, deliberate approach on goal. This would be a really handy way to kick off the second half. He's pushed it across the face. There was a big fly at the back, but it'll be off hands and through for a minor score.
Whistle's blown here.
In fact, it might be a free kick.
Might be.
Might have been a little bit of a nudge in the back. So Clarence, regardless, will win the free kick and resume things through Keegan Wiley. Kicks out wide beyond 50. Pack will fly. Ball ends up in the hands of Braden Webb, who dodges and weaves and gets around one. Wins a handball up to Webster, who got out a handball to Rainbird, who just moved things forward for the Pies. In fact, he's Webster, who gathered the footy and slung over the boundary lines. A few long sleeves getting out there. Watts, Webster, Mott. Only Dilger usually wears the long sleeves too. Yeah, he's in them as well.
It's fair enough too, Ro, because it's very,
fresh.
very cold. Don't blame them one little bit as it comes back into play. Hills in the ruck for Glenorchy. Ball out, and now the Pies again. I think it's Butterworth, a big high ball to the square. Reynolds was there, but ball bounced through, and Gullen Pies coming out here, and looks like it will be a minor score. So still in deep discussion here, the field umpire and the goal umpire. It is a minor score, so Clarence will have the kick in.
Wiley goes back out to that outer side and finds a target. Nice kick to clear defensive 50. Clarence, they like to switch the play in this position, but not on this occasion. That's a beautiful kick up the line to find a teammate. So Clarence have it at right half back. They'll look to create again. Another long ball. It's off hands. Ball spills into the congestion. Glenorchy players on hands and knees. It'll come out. Bouncing ball towards half forward. It's tracked back there by Clarence player in Blackburn. It's gathered beautifully though by Webster, who centres the ball in board, but there's a whistle. It'll be a Clarence free kick.
Not 50.
Webster was dicing with the possibility of giving away a 50-metre penalty there by just cheekily squaring the ball, but Michael Blackburn will receive the free kick. Just holding the face. Might have copped one on the way through. Sees something he likes short and uses it. Clarence will clear defensive 50 now. So still out on that outer side as Watts came over the back, was unable to have any effect on the marking contest. It was a nice mark taken in front, and it comes now to Standen, who's a long way from home. Left half back still for the Roos. Deliberate little kick up the line, searching for Buchner, couldn't take the mark. Glenorchy players will gather as Webster tries to win it out, but it's over the boundary line.
So 17 points is the difference here as we start this third term. 4 minutes in so far. Right on the far side of the ground in front of the famous hill here at Blundstone Arena. In it comes. Tap down from Siggins. Fisher's there. Gets a kick away. Only as far as Arnold though. Intercepted. Ball still alive. It's with the Pies though. Rainbird. Been busy in this game. He gets the ball in the middle to Matty Joseph. He plays on super quickly. Hills, good mark out in front. Plays on. Big, high, booming ball inside 50. Anybody home for Glenorchy? Punched away. Still alive though with the Magpies. Footy dragged to the ground and the umpire will ball this one up.
It was Wiley coming crashing through, gathered the footy, was immediately tackled. Red hot chance here for the Pies if they can win a clean possession. The umpire balls it back up. Siggins won it down. Mott fighting hard. He's claimed in the Wiley tackle. Shouts of ball from the crowd and it's rewarded. As the players emerge and Wiley will have the Sharon. So he just shields his eyes from the sun, which is lowering late into the afternoon. Wonderful day for footy, as we've mentioned already. He just opts to kick up the line, packle form. That's a nice mark taken though in front by Watts, who gets things going towards half forward and almost picks out a man. Webb tracks it back. Players come in. Holmes, Dilger, handball over the top. Big collision between Jones and Mott. Glenorchy still trying to work it forward. Dilger tracks it back. He gathers, but he's claimed. And it's a scrappy old contest here at the moment. Stop-start footy.
Yeah, it's the story of the day, that's for sure. It's been very stop-start as it is thrown up again. Reynolds does some clever work, snaps around the body. Bouncing football, Fisher's there. And Glenorchy get a goal though. Well done, Mitch Hills. And they increase that lead back out now to 23 points.
Mitch Hills just broke the Michael Fisher tackle a little bit too easily and he's let him know about it after the fact. Straight into Michael Fisher, who couldn't hold on. He's a big fella though, Mitch Hills. But Fisher probably needed to do a little bit better on the last line of defence.
Yeah, a bit of niggle here now, which we expected, I guess, coming into this game. As we said, they had each other's guts, these two teams. No doubt about that.
No surprises. Timmy Castle's in there too, getting involved. He's what is referred to in footy circles as a pest, but he thrives on it. He's been a good player for a long time, Tim Castle. So back in the middle here, Duffy won it down. Webb will take it out of the middle and move it forward for the Pies. Long ball inside 50. Reynolds got back and took the mark.
Well, are the floodgates starting to open here, lads?
Yeah, it's looking that way, boys. The big forwards in Reynolds and Hills really starting to cause a bit of trouble for the undersized Clarence defence without Jason Bailey today.
So Reynolds should put this one through. He'll kick from about 15 metres out, directly in front, comes in, slams it through, and the Glenorchy boys are up and about. They've kicked the first two of this term and they skip out to a little bit of a lead now.
Once again, the scoring end of the ground reigns supreme. 2 goals to that right-hand side. And how many Glenorchy kicked that last quarter, boys, to the left?
Just the one goal.
There you go. So it's an interesting old stat, that one. This definitely is the scoring end, the boon end of the ground here at Blundstone Arena.
And boys, if we recall, Clarence were behind Glenorchy earlier in the year and fought back with that 7-0-0 final term. But look, the gap's just starting to widen now, and if they don't kick a couple here, they are going to be in trouble.
Yeah, it's certainly all ahead of the Roos at the moment, that's for sure, as we restart again in the middle. Here's O'Brien, gets it inside 50, a much needed inside 50, but a great mark taken by Jordan Arnold. He plays on quickly, looking in the direction of Dilger. Couldn't take the mark. Standen does well. Jones, the captain, kicks it forward. Mark taken by Blackburn. Wants to play on quickly. Not a lot doing for him. He goes the short option. Callanan takes a great mark out in front. So the little master will have a shot on goal here, you'd think.
He'll fancy his chances.
He will. No, very good call, Alex. I agree. He would have kicked plenty in from training, certainly here at Blundstone, as well as on match days. So the former Adelaide Crow, Ian Callanan, what a star he is for the Roos. Can he kick a much-needed goal for them? It looks beautiful off the boot. It's coming back. He split the middle, Ian Callanan. What a little champion, and keeps Clarence in touch in this match.
He's all class, Ian Callanan. Just his ability to sidestep his opponents and find targets, and then just to present and go back and calmly slot that one from the boundary, keeps Clarence in the hunt, boys.
That's the advantage of having a player like Ian Callanan in your forward line. He takes pretty regulational chest mark deep, hugged up against the boundary line, but he's always a chance to finish those off. He's such a classy player. Wherever he is inside 50, he can always hurt you, and he did so on that occasion. Duffy wins it down in the middle of the ground. O'Brien went after it, scrapped the ball forward. Clarence player unable to take the mark. In fact, it's Murphy Cohen who went back after the ball. Buchner kicked it out. Chance here for the Roos. Shot on goal is good, and Clarence hit back once more. That's a wonderful finish from Speedy Standen.
And we'll recall Speedy Standen kicked 7 goals the last time these two teams met, so you don't want to let him get off the leash.
Well, suddenly this one's back to a 17-point ball game. So just when we suggested the floodgates may be opening for Glenorchy, Clarence hit back with the next 2. And it's game on again. 8-8-56 plays 5-9-39. Hope you're enjoying the coverage wherever you're tuned in on the live stream right around the world. We're in for a cracking quarter and a half of footy left in this one as we restart again in the middle. Big punch away from Duffy. Clarence have lifted here in the last few minutes, that's for sure, as the ball approaches their 50. Big bump there from the Clarence player. And now they're away, but Glenorchy in Arnold again, who's always so reliable in defence. A free kick, though. A free kick has been paid, and it's on here, boys. The crowd certainly getting involved in this too. It's a massive roar.
It's been reversed.
It has been reversed, so Jordan Arnold will take the kick. So a bit happening down there.
That's disappointing, because Brady Jones, the captain, laid a big tackle for Clarence to claim Jordan Arnold holding the ball, and would have given them a 30-metre out from goal shot on goal, which would have been important. That's a big hit too, and it's really starting to spice up here.
It is. It's definitely lifted a notch the last couple of minutes. What a wasted opportunity, though, for Clarence. That would have got him back to within 11 points, so very silly indeed. And
that was a dangerous hit there from Rainbird, boys.
It was. And we know he just...
And interesting here, because Matty Joseph, as he emerged with the footy, stepped on Keegan Wiley. It almost looked like he deliberately stepped on him. And the umpires picked it up and said, I'm not having any of that. So Clarence will get a shot on goal, slight angle, 25 metres out. And if that is indeed how it looked, that's pretty ordinary work from Matty Joseph.
A big change in fortunes within 30 seconds there, boys. And Matty Joseph, certainly one who does toe the line in this competition, as we all know.
Oh, it's not a great kick from Wiley. It's off to the right-hand side for a minor score. So another let-off there for Glenorchy. A couple of let-offs in the last couple of minutes.
They've just got to compose themselves here, Clarence, and just focus on kicking those goals, I think, boys.
A couple of real let-offs as this game goes up a notch, and that traditional rivalry starts to rear its head as Arnold goes short to Mott. Wasn't 15 though, back to Arnold, who goes beyond 50. Big fly from the back from Reynolds. Couldn't take the mark. Fisher came busting through. Got onto his left boot. Sends the ball inside 50. Player went back with courage. I think it was Arnold. Gleeson emerged from it. Handball only went as far as Watts, who tried to clear 50 with a scrappy ball. Swooped upon by Webster, who does as Webster does. Goes forward to Hills. He's got no one inside 50. Had to get it moving immediately to Webb. He's got an open 50 in front of him. Sends the ball towards goal. And that's wonderful coast-to-coast footy from the Pies. Excellent finish, James Webb, who just put on the afterburners, burned his opponent, and finished on the run.
That's his third, boys.
That was outstanding. The handball was a touch and go one from Mitch Hills there, but Webb good enough to collect and under pressure load up and get that crucial goal for Glenorchy. That was a fantastic work from James Webb, his third.
And boys, how was that classy one-handed pick up from Zach Webster through the middle? Just burn off two opponents, and unfortunately for the Clarence defender, he wasn't able to hold up Mitch Hills enough to stop that handball to James Webb, who now has 3.
Some of the real guns of the competition starting to have an impact. Callanan standing, and then Webster as the ball slammed into the turf.
Entertaining quarter, boys, after a stop-starty affair in the first half, as we said. But wow, both teams certainly bring it to the table this third term.
Hills won it down. Clarence will get the clearance though. Ball forward, trapped beautifully by Palmer Hughes. Couldn't gather it. O'Brien went past him. Kick forward to be gathered by Arnold. It's a downfield free kick. There might have been something off the ball there. I think it's Rainbird just springs to his feet. Play resumes. Goes inside 50. Keep an eye on what's happening at centre half forward. Little ball inboard from Standen. Couldn't find Callanan. It's knocked back towards goal. Butterworth just slams it on the boot. Looking in the gear direction. He's got plenty of work to do out there though. Falls into the arms of Mastrocola. He's got a man running past in Holmes. That's a shocking kick though towards half forward. It's easily taken by Reece Mott. He's not the man you want to turn the ball over to, because every chance he'll use it back the other way, and he does, finding a target out on the wing. So the Pies here will steady and pump the ball along. It'll be a shallow forward 50 entry as players fly. Gunther was worked underneath it, but he gathered the footy and sent the ball towards goal. It's bouncing back that way. Roberts will have to get back. Kept it in cleverly. But he turned it straight over to Mitch Rainbird as he looked to come out of defence. That's a sloppy piece of work from Jordan Roberts. And he's gifted Mitch Rainbird a shot on goal here.
Liam Smith certainly let him know about it as well, boys, after that kick.
So, costly turnover. Mitch Rainbird, the chance to take this margin out to 28 points, pulls the trigger on his kick, sends it on its way, and it looks pretty good. Umpire had to do a little bit of work, but confirmed the goal in the end. Wonderful finish, Mitch Rainbird, and the Pies have a stranglehold on this game.
Boys, it might be cold up here at the top of the Ricky Ponting stand, but there's certainly a lot of heat in this game in the third quarter so far.
Yeah, there is. There's no doubt about that. And Glenorchy extend that lead to 28, as you said, Rowan. Clarence have been able to answer the challenge so far. They kicked those couple of goals about 10 minutes ago, but now they need to answer the challenge again here. So the pressure back on the home team. 5-10-40 they are to the Magpies now 10-8-68. It's a close run at the MCG. Geelong by 9 points over Hawthorn, and Port Adelaide dominating against North Melbourne. As we get back underway here, Jones. That's Mott now for Glenorchy. And they come through again, the Magpies. Webb wraps up with a big tackle. Wasn't Webb, sorry. And we'll have another ball up. So the sun shining beautifully here. Certainly not in the commentary box though. It is freezing.
The cold concrete stand at the top of the Ricky Ponting stand as the ball goes up again. Hills decisively winning the hit out. Webb was courageous, put his head over it. Ball spills out. Butterworth's in there, tried to just kick it out of the congestion. Webb goes in, gets his footy, and now sends a ball inside 50 for the Pies. It's a 2-on-1. Reynolds was beaten. Mastrocola came flying through with the fist. And it'll be out of bounds in the right forward pocket for the Pies as they look for their 11th goal in this game and look to further stretch that lead to 34 points. And if it gets to that, you might just start thinking that it might be tough for Clarence. Siggins won it down and Webster come flying through. He might have been legged. Umpire said play on. Roberts got the handball out as Clarence will rebound through Chambers. He wanted grace on the wing, but he ran out of tarmac and was unable to take the footy. Watts will take the free kick. It was out of bounds on the full.
Let off there for them, I reckon, even though Glenorchy have got the football back now as Watts pumps it inside 50. Reynolds takes a great mark. He's well and truly back. Benny Reynolds, he's been fantastic this afternoon for Glenorchy. Kicked a couple of goals and now a nice mark, and looks like he's going to back himself in here and have a shot. We're right behind this one in the commentary box, so a little bit of breeze out there for Benny Reynolds as he lines up to kick Glenorchy's 11th of the afternoon. And this one is going to be a minor score. In fact, it's missed a lot. So advantage goes the way of Clarence, Chris Rowbottom.
So Benny Reynolds was probably always up against it from that range and angle as Michael Fisher resumes things to Trent Standen, who gets things underway immediately, kicks out wide in the Howlett direction. It's gathered though by the Pies. Mott got a handball over to Arnold, who sends them back inside 50 in the Reynolds direction, but it was Webster sitting at the back of the pack and it fell into his lap, and he'll have a shot on goal. And I tell you what, they're both wearing bright green boots, they're both wearing long sleeves, and they're both getting a fair bit of the ball. Mott and Webster, a little bit hard to distinguish from up here at the top of the Ricky Ponting stand.
I did have a bit of trouble identifying them last week, boys.
Webster, in he comes. Footy's on its way. He knew, he raised the finger, he kicked the goal, and the Pies skip out to a 34-point advantage, and their prime move is really starting to have an impact on this game.
Where do we see the game going from here, guys? Because Clarence have kicked a couple of fast goals this quarter, but Glenorchy have also piled on 5 of their own.
Yeah, look, I'm still interested in this scoring end of the ground. Obviously, Clarence have kicked a couple this quarter, as you said, Alex, but the final quarter is going to be an interesting one. If Clarence can kick a couple more here before three-quarter time, and time may be starting to get against them for that, but we're 20-odd minutes gone now in this third term. But yeah, a couple more goals here from the Roos would make it really interesting heading into the final term, I say, as we get underway again. Ball not travelling far from where we had the bounce, and we'll have another one. So 34 points the margin. A couple of other games around the state this afternoon. Hobart City Demons have travelled up the northwest coast to take on Devonport, and Lauderdale hosting the Tigers down at the tip. As Clarence have the ball, intercepted by Glenorchy. Here's Matthew Joseph, inside 50. Reynolds again, wasn't paid the mark. Pretty unlucky there. O'Brien gets it back, and now the Roos are away. Harper gets it inboard. Bushner drives it long inside 50. Grace is lurking, can't take the mark. Picked up though by Blackburn. Blackburn goes in and kicks a wonderful goal for Clarence and keeps them in touch in this contest.
Just Clarence prepared to play on at all costs. They're probably taking a leaf out of the Pies book there. And what an influence young Zach Bushner's had in the second and now the late part of this third term.
Really classy player, Bushner. Was able to break a tackle out on the wing there and move things forward for Clarence, which obviously resulted in a goal. Trent Standen's been playing up the ground a little bit too, as maybe an extra sort of midfielder and sort of pushing forward at the same time as well. So interesting use of him, but you're right, they're playing on at all costs and they're not going to leave any stone unturned as they try and fight back and wrestle this game back into their favour. It's 28 points in the favour of Glenorchy as they go forward again. The Pies is a one-on-one contest at centre-half forward. It's slapped back. Wiley tried to just clear the congestion, but only as far as a Glenorchy player who spins around one. Joseph sends the ball on its way, and it didn't quite squeeze through. It's a dangerous attempt, though.
Lots of people watching the coverage this afternoon. Big shout out to James Wiggins, who's texted in, enjoying the coverage from his couch at home crook. So get well soon, we go. Big Glenorchy man, of course. Clarence now out of defence. Castle over his head, lands in the hands of Mott. He turns around, loads up, gets it to the top of the square. Hills couldn't take the mark. Brady Jones collects for the Roos, out of defence again. Braden Webb is there along with Chambers. Chambers punches it towards the boundary. Braden Webb calling for deliberate. Umpire will throw it in. So 11-9-75, 6-10-46. We're on the eve of three-quarter time in this round 15 TSL clash from Blundstone Arena.
Bushner doing the ruck work against Duffy and got in front and won it down. Went with it on hands and knees and trapped it in. It's an interesting little period here. If Glenorchy can snatch a goal in the shadows of three-quarter time, you'd think the game might just be beyond the Roos, and they'll look to do exactly that as they go forward now through Rainbird. Kick is deep inside 50, and it's met beautifully on the lead by Mitch Hills, who read the ball best. I think it was Keegan Wiley going back and was unable to affect the kick or get any sort of touch on the footy, as Hills just assesses where he's going to kick this ball from. He's on a really tight angle. He's only 15 or so metres out. This would be a big goal in the context of the game. It would almost shut Clarence out with the quarter to play. So Hills comes in, stabbed at the footy a little bit, just missed to the near side.
Just one of the knocks on his game, unfortunately, Mitch Hills sometimes, just his finishing. But he did bravely opt for the drop punt from that tight angle, so full credit to him there.
Short kick in to Gleeson. Back this afternoon, one of the ins for Clarence. His kick is punched away by the Glenorchy player. And now the Roos, though, they're away here. Here's Aidan Grace, the long locks of Aidan Grace. Tries to take the game on. He's in trouble. Gets the handball away, though, Grace. Blackburn. And now I think it was Bushner inside 50. High ball. Siggins is there. Couldn't take the mark. That's all Glenorchy, though. And Geordie Arnold. Handball's over the top. And now to his brother. And now Webb plays on. Rainbird's all by himself. He's got a paddock to work with here. One bounce. Loads up now, inside 50. Can no one know? It's gone over the head of Mastrucola, who scoops it up. Takes on Reynolds and goes long to Fisher. Fisher handballs off to Grace. Grace again, running through Blundstone Arena as he does so well. Oh, the Clarence player missed the footy. It was Howlett. And a boundary throw in.
So it looks like Siggins has gone forward. He's sitting deep. He's rucked all day. Looks like they've had to move one of their trump cards. And that is Sammy Siggins. Can take a mark. We haven't called him much today. Hasn't had a huge effect on this contest as Bushner does the ruck work once again. Dilger will track it out towards a boundary, overrun the footy, went back in and got it. Had Roberts for company. There was Chambers, who tried to break away, but he's claimed in the tackle. So another ball up here on the outer wing. Right in front. Some loyal spectators out on the hill. Hope they're all rugged up. They look to be. Glenorchy will come away here. Matty Joseph. It's met solidly on the half volley by Reynolds, who couldn't gather cleanly. Jones is in there on hands and knees. It'll be locked in again, though. I mentioned before, an interesting little period in this game. Hills unable to capitalise a few minutes ago as the ball goes up once again. Jones, Chambers, Camerick's in there. It'll go back out of bounds as it's...
A few scores from around the grounds, boys, at Lauderdale Oval. It is Lauderdale 13-6-94, the Tigers 5-6-36. And at Devonport Oval, it is Hobart City Demons 9-6-60, Devonport 4-8-32.
Interesting, the Tigers leading Lauderdale at Lauderdale Oval as Howlett and Mott track it over. Was that Tigers 5-6-36?
Tigers losing to Lauderdale Road.
Oh, sorry, I misheard that.
Okay.
Focusing on the play over on the outer side. Tough to see out there.
Raised a few eyebrows there. Alex.
Thought that was an interesting score. Duffy won it down. Clarence will try and win it here, but they're in a little bit of trouble. Handball came out, couldn't find Holmes. He did eventually. He won a handball up, and Standen was stripped clean of the footy. He got away with one there. Howlett. Here they go now through Harper. Kick forward in the Siggins direction, and he was able to take a really nice mark on Connor Salter. And that's why they moved him forward, because he has very, very sticky hands, Sam Siggins, and Clarence desperately need this goal as we approach the three-quarter time siren.
This is a huge kick in the context of the game.
It is, as we said, if they could sneak a couple here, the Roos, and he'll kick now after the siren, Sam Siggins, so it becomes even more important. In he comes. Loads up. Kick is offline and a minor score. So Glenorchy 11-10-76, Clarence 6-11-46, and it is on at the three-quarter time break, boys. Here we go. We've been waiting for this all day. Look who's in the thick of it. Gabby Chambers is right in there. Brady Jones. So it looks like it's breaking up a little. But it is all Glenorchy heading into the three-quarter time break. They are 11-10-76, 6-11-47 Clarence. So, boys, Clarence with a mountain to climb in this last quarter coming up.
They're getting into Sammy Siggins here, and Joshy Watts gave him one on the way past. There's a few choice words still being exchanged. Sam Siggins is right at the centre of this.
So is Mitch McPherson too.
Just pushes someone away. And the teams go their separate ways, so things just threatening to boil over on the three-quarter time siren. We mentioned plenty of times that these two teams do not like one another, but the only result that matters is the one on the scoreboard, and it's Glenorchy well in front at the three-quarter time break. So there's the siren, just signalling the start of this fourth term, and right on the three-quarter time buzzer we saw some fireworks. Sammy Siggins lined up for a shot deep in the Clarence forward 50, unable to convert. Glenorchy boys seemingly gave him a bit of stick, and there was some real push and shove between two teams that traditionally hate each other's guts. Glenorchy are in front on the scoreboard, but I do suspect this is going to be a really heated final term, boys.
We can only hope so. That was exciting. That third quarter definitely lifted, that's for sure, after a pretty lacklustre first and second quarter, but certainly very stop-start, as we mentioned through the broadcast. So looking forward to what's going to be a pretty exciting final term coming up. So look at the centre square, boys. Look where the centre circle is inside the centre square.
It's a little bit skew-whiff, it must be said.
Big time.
Almost up in the top corner of the of the centre square. The umpire just gets everything in order.
And while Glenorchy do hold a 29-point lead, guys, you will recall in round 7 they were up a little healthy lead and Clarence kicked 7 goals to no score in the final term. So can history repeat itself?
We'll find out in a few moments' time as we get underway in the fourth and final term here. Here's Webb out of the middle. Very quick clearance. His brother there, and James is going for the footy now. Still there, James Webb, as the ball hugs the boundary. Still alive, but it's being held up, and we'll have a ball up. So it's Ben Reynolds being worked on down here in front of us, boys, on the boundary.
Yeah, just getting him right for probably the second half of this final quarter, so he can come on and have an impact as Clarence send it forward. That's a wonderful mark going back. Josh Watts, that's AFL experience right there. Outstretched arms, shields his eyes from the sunlight, and elects to just bomb things forward in the heels direction. Duffy even, who took a mark. So the big ruckman, he just goes long inside 50. It wasn't a great kick. Clarence should take care of this one through Fisher. Got it out to Holmes. Handball to Ling wasn't great because he put his teammate directly under pressure. He was tackled, and the umpire says it's all wrapped up and he'll have it. So a couple minutes gone in this first term. No score yet. First goal will be big. Rucks will go at it once again. Duffy won it down. Holmes couldn't win the kick out. It's gathered there by a Clarence player, and we'll have it held in again.
What do we think if Clarence do lose this one this afternoon, boys? This will be their second win of the season, as we know. They lost that first one against Hobart City Demons by a point, as we see Arnold gather the footy. And not going too far again. Does it change our thought? I mean, did you guys think Clarence are premiership favourites heading into this game, or is there a lot more to play out this season?
I think there's a lot more to play out. They're certainly in the top 3. I think for me, you've got your Clarence, you've got North Launceston, and probably I think Lauderdale are still definitely a chance, because when they get going, they really do get going, as we saw last week against the Hobart City Demons. But as it's been spoken about midweek, you can never write off this Glenorchy side, who are certainly today and especially last week just definitely
kick
hitting
out of
their
the
straps.
pack from Webster. Sorry, Alex, but it is only a minor score.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, look, a lot of people have written Glenorchy off, but I certainly did not. No way. You can never write off a champion, that's for sure. And we've seen their class this afternoon. That is not a great kick in, but it's worked okay for Clarence. It's O'Brien, and looks like it's 50 metres, so not sure what's exactly happened there, but Jackson O'Brien will bring the footy forward.
So another 50-metre penalty here. There's probably just a little bit of lip happening on the mark. The Glenorchy player in Mitch Hills, who's protesting. Ben Camerick will stand the mark. It's
scoring into the ground here, Chris, this quarter. So another goal here, a quick goal here early, will make it very interesting.
We know what happened at KG5 earlier in the season. Clarence stormed home and snatched victory. They'll need to get their skates on if they're to do the same here today, as Webster kicks out wide to Quinn, who kicks in board, and, well,
Mitch Hills just found space, and the kick was absolutely pinpoint because it landed directly in a triangle of Clarence players, who gives it off to Mott, sends it on its way, and the big left footer is slightly astray.
Well, there you go.
That might be Reece Mott's first off-target kick all day, guys.
Yeah, good call, Alex. As Clarence bring it to the wing, Siggins couldn't take the mark. And now it's Butterworth. Handball's off to Arnold, Josh Arnold. Bumped off late.
Nice.
And we'll see a kick come back here to Smith, who goes inside 50. Webb on his own, takes the mark, and he'll go back now and go for his fourth, boys.
It will be his fourth, and he did kick 4 last week. And just a little tap on the bum from Arnold to Grace, suggesting he may have milked that after being on the receiving end of that hit.
Well, as we said earlier, James Webb been living in his brother's shadow for a long time, but really starting to carve out a nice career of his own. He loads up on the boot, and it is a goal. So Glenorchy extend that lead further in this game, and it's going to be really hard for Clarence now.
Big goal, James Webb. He's kicked 4. He's been consistent all throughout this contest. He's provided a genuine headache up forward. And Clarence, I couldn't tell you who's actually playing on James Webb, because he's been able to get free into some really tricky positions several times in this game, and he's made Clarence pay 4 times. And he leads all comers in terms of goal kickers. The only other multiples are Mitch Rainbird with 2 and Ben Reynolds with 2. All singles to Clarence as we get things back underway in the middle of the ground, and Glenorchy will go forward again. Track it to half forward. Gunther's there. He just scraps the ball towards goal. Webster will fly. Couldn't gather cleanly, but it'll fall into the arms of Harry Pearce, who bends around and kicks a wonderful goal around the body. And it's all Glenorchy here at Blundstone Arena.
Yeah, certainly floodgates open now, and getting worrying. Clarence would hate this to blow out too much. I mean, these two teams will have to meet, you'd think, potentially in the final series, and I think they'll meet again once more, to be fair, before the final. So confidence-wise, they'd hate to lose this by a big margin, the Roos.
They're now 7 kicks behind, 43 points in fact.
So probably not a result we tipped coming into this one. But there's still some slither of hope if Clarence can get some sort of run on here, although it's very unlikely, you'd think, as the ball just bobbles around in the middle of the ground. Players looking to win clean possession. It's held up by the goal kicker in Harry Pearce. Up it goes again. Duffy contests the ruck with Buchner. Kick one out of there by Grace. High ball to half forward. Callanan and Arnold do battle. Arnold got a fist in. Butterworth gathers the footy back to Arnold, who sends a spearing ball out onto the wing. It's gathered cleanly by the Glenorchy player on the half volley, who went the 1-2. It was Banks Smith. Unable to get it back, but Glenorchy still retain possession. Webb sends a looping handball out onto the wing. Grace was good enough to affect the possession, but Glenorchy will come up with it again. They've just outdone Clarence in the contested ball, and that's a wonderful one-handed mark taken by Webster, who just held his opponent in Holmes out of it and took it with the one mitt. Webster, if he wants to have a ping on goal, he'll do so from about 55 metres out tight angle. It would be some sort of finish if he was able to put it through the big sticks. It was a flat ball on its way. It bounced off the chest of the Clarence player in defence, and I'll get away through Fisher, who just handballed it into the back of a teammate in Callan, and he wasn't ready for it. Scrappy ball comes out through Buchner. Going back with the flight was Banks Smith. It'll fall Clarence's way, though. I think it's Murphy Cohen, who tried to get it to Jordan Roberts, who fell over. Ends up in the hands of Mitch Hills, who got rid of a tackler. Cries of ball, unrewarded. Now it's Mott. He'll use it well and looks to have done so. Banks Smith tracking it back. Had to go, but couldn't quite. Castle affected, and Sam Smith was dumped after the fact by Brady Jones, and the kick in the Clarence forward direction is chopped off by Tim Butterworth. It goes across the ground. Floating ball is good enough to Quinn. Has it at centre half back. Quinn just kicks directly up the line. He wanted Rainbird, but was ambitious as Palmer Hughes gets across. And now Gleeson, well, it was right on the shoelaces of Gleeson, who might have got a knee to the head from Gunther, who set the ball inside 50 to a 2-on-1 involving Reynolds, who was unable to take the mark. Fisher will clear 50 with a handball.
Couple down here for Clarence.
Hands low. There's plenty happening off the ball. There's 2 down in the middle of the ground. Kicking board is good for Clarence to steadily build something here. Here comes Palmer Hughes running off half back. Short ball is good. To Harper. Harper just puts the ball inside 50. Grace will wait down at the back. Was unable to come up with the footy. Standen was, though. He found a teammate who kicked around the corner. And it was a classy finish in the end. So Clarence get one back here.
Speedy.
Through that man, Trent Standen, who kicks his second for the afternoon. They'll need a few more of those.
Just interestingly, boys, looking ahead to next week, what a result this is for Glenorchy, given they run into North Launceston at UTAS Stadium. What a clash that's going to be. That's our stream game next weekend, so that will be an absolute cracker. And Clarence, they take on the Hobart City Demons, so we know what they're like to play at home. Didn't have the result they would have liked last week, the D's, against Lauderdale, but definitely play North Hobart pretty well. As we're back underway in the middle, Rainbird wrapped up with the footy. Won't be going too far before we get another ball up.
And such is the evenness of this competition, Brent, with the exception of a couple of sides that we seem to have 1 or 2 of those games every week.
That's exactly right. As we see the ball travel to the far side of the ground, picked up though by Cambrick. Inside 50, it's gone a little top heavy and out of bounds on the full. So it's starting to get a little dark here now at Blundstone Arena. The sunshine has gone.
So Fisher, 1-2 with Wiley, gets it back, takes a couple of bounces, still inside defensive 50. Kick wasn't his greatest, but it'll do the job to O'Brien, who released a player in Chambers, got things moving forward in the Callan direction. He had a 3-on-1 to contend with, though. And that's just hacked off the ground beautifully. And the Clarence player in Murphy Cohen will run in and dice with death. He took Matty Dilger on and looked over his shoulder, but eventually just put it over the goal umpire's hat. And Clarence kicked 2 in a row here.
Well, they're playing on at all costs, and that's what they're going to have to do, especially seeing as there's not much time, but also they've just got to take the game on. It's been working for Glenorchy, and it's sort of better to go down fighting, I guess, and you can rest assured that if Clarence do go down, they will go down in that fashion.
The lead now cut back to 31 points, 11 minutes gone in this final term on the TSL live stream. Hope you're enjoying the coverage. Certainly enjoying bringing it to you. It's all Glenorchy at the moment, despite Clarence kicking the last couple. As we get underway again, big tap down from Duffy, and now inside 50. No one home. Ball on its own. Banks Smith wrapped up. Ball still alive. Got to remember too, boys, Glenorchy doing this today without Jay Bowden, who was a late withdrawal with that injury. But on the other side of the coin too, you must remember Cox out for Clarence along with big Jace Bailey, 2 very important players for them also.
Some of the guns of the competition missing today, and a very interesting point you raised there. Glenorchy playing fantastic footy without arguably their best player. So Clarence,
what are you saying, right? He shouldn't play anymore.
Well, he might not get back into this team. You never know. The spot might be filled in this Glenorchy team as the Pies go forward. Webster had to contend with 3, but he did really well to wrap Holmes up in a big tackle. Tried to get away. Hanslow just tries to knock it forward. Pies will emerge with the footy. Here's Mott, who's been great in traffic this afternoon, as has Webb. He got a handball forward. Another chance here for Webb, who just sends another one on its way, and he's kicked his 5th. Unbelievable performance from the youngster in James Webb. He's got a bag of 5, and he's been dangerous all day up forward. He's been... Geez, his radar's been on as well, boys. I don't think he's missed one. I think he's kicked 5 straight.
Where do we rank him as the best on ground today, boys? Is he right up there?
He's kicked 5.
He's kicked 5. He's got to be in the votes.
That's backing up his effort of 4 last week, and they came from limited options too. He's sort of streaming through off half-back. So what a luxury to have a player like James Webb that you can pop up forward, and when you got Josh Watts required at centre-half-back.
We'll get your votes 3-2-1 at the end of the game, Alex, because I absolutely butchered them last week and don't deserve to do them again. So just be ready for that when we throw to you post-siren, mate, as we see Braden Webb, the skipper of this Glenorchy team. Oh, Reynolds couldn't take the mark. Clarence player, I think it was Fisher, tripped over, but they get it away eventually through O'Brien to the wing here. Mark can be taken by Standen. Now it's Quinn. Handball's away. Joseph back to Mott. Mott right in the paint of 50. The mark's taken by Glenorchy. No one home though. And umpire's blown the whistle, and a free kick going the way of the Roos here.
It's not a downfield, is it?
It might have been a downfielder. I think.
Oh, right.
I think Johnny Geard might have been dumped after the fact.
Apologies there. So
it's party time here for Glenorchy.
Well, this will tick him over the ton. So it is starting to get ugly now, isn't it? If he converts here, the margin will skip out to 43 points.
Can you see who's
So
got
it's
the
Reynolds
kick, boys?
that's got the kick. Ben Reynolds will take the kick. So that's interesting, how he ended up with the footy. So Benny Reynolds lining up for his third of the afternoon. And he kicks truly, so party time for the Pies. They lead this one now by 43 points.
Game's well and truly done, you'd think, from a scoreboard point of view. Comprehensive display from Glenorchy. They've found one in James Webb, that's for sure. 9 goals in 2 weeks as it stands. Might have a couple more left in him the way he's going. His brother in Braden's been outstanding through the midfield today. He's been an absolute raging bull in there. As the ball goes back up in the middle of the ground, Rainbird couldn't win it. O'Brien could. Gave off to Jones, who will send Clarence forward. Off hands, Roberts couldn't take the mark. Callanan, always hungry. He just jumped on the back of Arnold. Umpire says play on. Whistle eventually comes. We'll have a stoppage inside Clarence forward 50.
He's been great today, Arnold. Josh Arnold, that is, but also Jordan.
Those small defenders for the Pies have done their job with aplomb this afternoon as it's tracked out towards the boundary there by Standen. Eventually got a grip on the footy, got it back to Jones, who got it to Grace. And that's a poor ball inside 50 from Aidan Grace, whose kicking hasn't been great this afternoon, it must be said. And the Pies have it deep in defence through Mitch Rainbird.
Rainbird, star player for the Magpies, of course. Kicks it away, and Webster takes the mark. So Webster plays on, kicks it further afield. Good strong mark out in front by that man again in Braden Webb, Premiership captain in 2016. Umpire let that go. And Clarence win the footy back. They get it away, but only as far as Brisbane Lions former defender Josh Watts. Riddled with injury, Josh Watts, and was unlucky not to get his crack at AFL footy. Ball to the wing. Fisher flew from behind, but Reynolds got the football in the end. So we approach time on, and the margin 43 points. So Clarence on the verge of their second loss of 2017. Both of those losses, interestingly, coming at home.
So the kick up the line from Reynolds was a bit of a lazy one, it probably must be said. Just slapped it up the line, tried to get things moving forward. He probably knows as well as anyone this game's all wrapped up. And it comes again. Rainbird had his kick smothered. It fell to Jones, who has tried hard all afternoon. Gets the ball to half forward. Arnold tracks it back. Takes it on the bounce. Was really nice. Eventually tried to work it back to Watts, who's been pretty good. Might have got one high. Umpire said no. Back to Arnold. Now Butterworth has it. That's a risky old handball. Well, it fell straight into the hands of Standen, and he doesn't miss those. Trent Standen just dribbles one through for Clarence. And he's got a couple now, Standen.
That's his third, in fact.
Well, boys, just some stuff around the grounds, and looks like it might be all over at the MCG. I can't get AFL Live working at the moment, but I believe it'd be over there at the MCG, and it might be Geelong that has snuck home against Hawthorn.
We can only hope.
They have indeed. 3 points to Geelong, so big result that. Another close game between those two powerhouse clubs of the competition. As we get underway in the middle again, here's O'Brien with the clearance. Inside 50, Roberts flew, as did Watts. And now still in the hands of the Roos. Bushner kick away. Went past everyone. Butterworth's there to collect. Can he? He can't. It's still in the hands of Clarence. Dangerous territory. But Glenorchy did well enough to get it out. Now here's Josh Arnold. Didn't bounce favourably for him. And the Roos have a look at goal and kick another. So they get another goal back here, the Roos. But it might be all too little too late, unfortunately, because Glenorchy still hold a sizable lead as we're on the eve of time on this final term.
Glenorchy have just taken the foot off the gas, it's fair to say, in the last 5 minutes. And it's back to 30-odd points. Which,
they can't, can they, Ro?
Well, no, I don't think they can.
Well, that's where you were going for a second.
No, it's a little bit, I'm just about to say, it's probably a bit flattering.
Boys, I'll just quickly mention that Thor Boscott has kicked 9 for Lauderdale today.
Wow.
Star of the comp, Thor Boscott. We've spoken about him throughout the year. He's having an absolutely outstanding 2017 as Clarence go forward again through Siggins. High ball. Watts had his work cut out for him.
Ooh.
Roberts swooped on the loose foot. He sent a footy goal bound, and they've got another one, Clarence. So Glenorchy have fallen asleep here at Blundstone Arena in the last 5 or 10 minutes. And Clarence have just reined it back in, and it's starting to look
they can't, can they,
a little bit closer than it should be.
Apologies for my little excited dance
Alex,
there, boys.
I hate to be rude, but you've been cheering for both teams today, mate. What's going on? Where do your allegiances lie, please?
Allegedly, my allegiances lie with the Tigers, according to a TSL insider. But I'm just excited, boys. I'd love to see a nice close finish, and we may be in for one yet.
Well, it's all going to come down to minutes, isn't it? And Clarence need to still get the skates on if they want to be any part of having 4 points at the end of this one, because Glenorchy still hold a pretty big advantage, 25 points. But Clarence with the last few in this game. So the ball is just outside the centre square on the far side of the ground from the commentary position we're currently in. Here's Rainbird. Gets his own footy back, gets the kick away, dribbles inside 50. Webster's there. Getting pretty dark here now at Bell Reef. Hard to see on that far side of the ground as Clarence move the ball up the line again. They're away here. O'Brien. He kicks short. Roberts on the lead, takes it on the chest, goes to play on, goes back. Who's he got lurking? No one. Callanan's there. Ball to the ground. Not going too far. And we'll have a ball up. So, I think it's beyond reach. But they've certainly given us a bit of excitement in the last couple of minutes, boys.
They haven't stopped, Clarence, to their credit. A goal here would bring it back to 19 points and would still probably be out of reach. But just make things interesting in the last 5 or so minutes of this game. As the ball trickles out of bounds, we're at left half forward for the Roos, so they'll look to just work something out of the stoppage here. And a goal would make things just a little bit intriguing as Hills and Siggins fight the ruck. Ball spills onto the ground. Standen emerges with it. He's lifted in the second half. Scrubby ball inside 50, and guess who's got it? Ian Callanan.
They can't, can they? Right?
Ian Callanan takes
Goodness me.
an all but uncontested mark inside 50. He's going back. He's going to take his kick. He won't want to take too long. Time is of the essence.
I'm not sure how reliable the clock is here too at Blundstone Arena.
Well, I tell you what, he kicks this. It's back to 19. Sends the footy on its way. And Ian Callanan has kicked the goal. Clarence, there couldn't be a pulse, could there? There couldn't be a pulse.
There's a pulse.
We're just checking. Yeah, so There's still enough time, probably.
Well, they'd need 3 of the quickest goals, and then they'd need another point on top of that. So it's 4 scoring shots. Glenorchy would be filthy on this. Aaron Cornelius, the coach,
he's
would
on the
not be
boundary
happy.
too. Just looking at him right now, and seems relaxed. But another goal, and don't know if he'll be standing like he is right now.
Well, they haven't missed, boys. They've kicked 6 straight in this last term, Clarence, as the ball goes up.
Here we go again. Can Clarence do the unthinkable? Goes inside 50 again. Oh my goodness me! Here's Bushner. Point.
Handy point, as they say in the classics, where it's 3 goals even now, 18 points.
Wow.
They'll run the full court press here, Clarence, as they look to take a mark here. It'll fall into the hands of a Clarence player in Standen, who broke one tackle, couldn't break the second though. That's holding the ball. And he had to go and try and get things moving as quickly as possible, but he just bit off a little bit more than he could chew. Webster dices with death. Found his target though in Joseph. It was a neat ball. He had a man free, overcooked the kick though, over Kamerick's head. Gunther met it hard, couldn't gather the footy, back to Kamerick. Now Webb has it. Clarence applying the pressure, fell into the hands of Geard, who gave it to Pearce. He's got a 1 out in the forward 50. Ben Reynolds and Michael Fisher. Good contest down there. Ben Reynolds read it best. Eventually gather the footy. A looping handball over to Mott, and Mott had a flying shot on goal, but missed. Another handy point, back to 19.
Wow. Yeah, it's definitely beyond reach now. You think 24 minutes gone.
Where's his kick going? No, not straight up the middle.
So Chambers has it in the back pocket for Clarence. He goes short to O'Brien. He plays on quickly as he needs to do. Grace is there, can't scoop up the footy. And now it's with the Magpies. Webb goes short. Joseph in the bright orange boots. Quick handball off to Zach Webster. Webster loads up just inside 50. And it's game over at Blundstone Arena. Zach Webster kicks a goal for Glenorchy. And the Pies have won it.
Wonderful finish, Zach Webster. Didn't even look at the goals. Knew where they were. Threw it on the boot. And just slammed the final nail into the Clarence coffin.
And I think Tim Castle knows it's over because he hasn't let go of Harrison Gunther's jumper for the last 2 minutes.
So, a few choice words between Gunther and Castle at half forward for the Pies, but it all matters little. And any flame that Clarence had burning has just been snuffed out by a wonderful Zach Webster finish as Mott just shrugs off a couple of tacklers. The ball's knocked back to Kamerick, who gets past one. Underground hand pass to Webster. He's mobbed by Harper. Another stoppage out on the wing as we await the final siren in this game. Mott gathered the footy cleanly but couldn't. Well, that was stiff. Not sure if he had prior opportunity. The umpire clearly thought he did.
Bit trigger happy in the last couple of minutes.
Murphy Cohen finds a short ball in Standen and just kicks around the corner and has Chambers going back. It took a nice mark under pressure. You want to get things moving immediately, and he does that. He skips back to his position with ball in hands. Fancies himself. He'll kick from right on 50. Sends the ball on its way. Won't quite get the distance. It's off hands and over for a minor score.
So the dying embers of this contest, which has been a very entertaining one in the second half. Plenty of thrills and spills, but it's Glenorchy who had their season back on track with a big win over Clarence. Just the Roos' second loss of this 2017 campaign. So still top of the table at this stage. North Launceston to play tomorrow against Birdie, which is a game you think the Bombers would win. So I'm not sure what that means for the latter, but I believe North Launceston may go back on top if they win tomorrow. So a little bit disappointing for Clarence that that would be the case, as we see a kick off the ground. And now Standen, can he kick a goal? No, he can't. Punch through, and the Pies will get it back to kick out of defence.
25 points the margin, although the last few minutes have felt a lot closer than that. Clarence forged a really nice comeback late in this game, but it wasn't enough as the Zach Webster kick out is marked strongly by Liam Smith. Right half back for the Pies. He opts to just bang it up the wing. He had Bang Smith at the front of the pack. It's roved nicely by Palmer Hughes, but Gabby Chambers' kick is beautifully smothered by Matty Joseph, who let him know about it on the way past. There's been a little bit of that all afternoon, which is what we like to see in the TSL. Plenty of passion in these two teams. Rivalry stretching back decades, and it continues to live on this afternoon as Duffy won the tap down, gathered, back to Duffy, throws it on the boot. He's got a one-on-one at half forward. Webb did well to bring it down, but Jones was great, spinning out of trouble and winning a handball to Palmer Hughes, who won it to a runner off half-back. Ball to the wing, but it picks out Cam Duffy, the biggest man on the ground. Takes a strong mark in front of his eyes, in front of Sam Siggins, who hasn't had his finest day today, Sammy Siggins. And there's the siren. So big win here for Glenorchy in the context of their season and the context of the TSL season overall. It's Glenorchy 16-13, 109, upsetting Clarence, it's fair to say, 12-14, 86.
Well, as I said, a cracking second half that, and at stages you thought Clarence may have made a run for it, but Glenorchy good enough to answer every challenge, and that's a big result for the Magpies. The first time they've beaten a top 5 team all season, and their season well and truly back on track. They've got every player to pick from just about now, Glenorchy. They're in a great position, and I think we'll see a different Glenorchy in the back half of this season, boys.
So a 23-point win to Glenorchy in the end without their star player, Jay Bowden. It's a fantastic victory for the black and white, who are starting to really build in the back half of this season. Players like Reynolds, who was good today, Josh Watts, who was also good in defence.
Don't spoil it, Ro. Alex has got his votes coming up, so we just don't want to try and help him out too much, because I got no help last week.
And a good all-round team effort from
Alex,
Glenorchy.
give us your 3, 2 and 1.
Oh, I think my one vote has to go to James Webb. Guys, he definitely capitalised. He kicked goals at the key moments of the game. So five goals, 2 I've got down for James Webb. I'm going to give him 1 vote. I think that he was probably a bit stiff last week in a rampaging victory.
Today, 2 with 1, I reckon.
Probably definitely stiff. I've got 2 other players in mind. Actually, 3 other players in mind.
Okay.
Probably, let's do a bit of a team thing for the 2 and 3. I thought Reece Mott was sensational today. I also thought Zach Webster was really dangerous in the similar outfit and boots combo. And I also thought Braden Webb was great through the middle. His leadership and a lot of his kicks and putting his body on the line certainly set up a lot of those Glenorchy forays forward. So where are we at, guys, with the 3 and the 2?
That's up to you, Alex. I'm not helping you out one bit. Go for it.
You got something for me, don't you, Rowie?
No, not really.
All right.
I thought this was your domain.
This is worse than me last week.
Okay. I'm going to give James Webb the 1. Like I said, he was sensational, but I think that there were midfielders who sort of set up those goals.
Yep.
I'm going to give Reece Mott the 3, boys. I thought he was fantastic last week and probably just edged out by Jay Bowden, who was missing today. I thought he stepped up again when he had the ball. He used it really, really well. Probably unlucky not to finish with a couple of goals. And so that leaves the 2 votes going to...
Can I just say...
Straight out of the Brent Costelloe playbook, this one.
My formula. 1 vote first, then the 3, and now the 2. I told you, I've set a trend.
Okay, I'm going to start.
That is not a set play either.
And we're leaving you in limbo for the 2 votes. I'm going to give it to Braden Webb. Probably Zach Webster a bit stiff, but I thought that Braden Webb was sensational. Showed a lot of leadership, especially early on when the game was definitely in the balance, and not afraid to come off for a spell either. He's very unselfish. So just to recap in order, we've got the 3 votes going to the midfielder in Reece Mott. We've got the 2 votes going to the captain, Braden Webb, and his brother, James Webb, for his 5 goal efforts, taking home the 1 vote.
Well done, Alex. I completely back you on all
We
that.
got there. We got there in the end.
We
guys.
got there in the end for the Brent Costelloe School of Voting. The 1 first, the 3 second, and then
learning
the
from the best.
all-important 2 coming in last, keeping the listeners and the viewers waiting here at Blundstone Arena. But in the end, it was Glenorchy winning by 23 points. James Webb, as you mentioned, kicked 5 goals. Jack Webster kicked 2 singles. Mitch Rainbird kicked 2 as well, singles to Ryan Banks-Smith and Big Mitch Hills. 3 goals for Trent Standen for the Roos. He led all comers for his side. Blackburn, Roberts, Callanan, Chambers, Hanslow and Murphy Cohen all had singles. What's the stream game next week? Breno, you're on
Glenorchy
it?
North Launceston, I believe, at UTAS Stadium, which has turned out to be an unbelievable setup.
That's going to be a fantastic game to watch, and I'm sure you boys can't wait to call that one. It's going to be a massive game with massive ramifications for the rest of this season. But here at Blundstone Arena, it's Glenorchy running out 23-point winners over Clarence. It's been fun. Apart from that little bit at the end where we just had a repeat of last week. But we'll do it all again next week with Glenorchy taking on North Launceston. Bye for now.